Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope you're having a nice, whatever it is, wherever you are. Is that the fucking Exalted Weapon video? But, good morning, everyone. I know I've been streaming a lot lately. The truth is because I have, I'm struggling to make actual videos. I have a lot of ideas I want to do, but I feel like I can't settle on one right now. So, I'm just kind of like, you know, we'll do some streams, sort of see what my audience wants to see, and we can kind of go from there. I have another idea for a project that's kind of been on the back burner for a while, but it would easily be the longest thing I ever make, no contest, if I attempt to make it. So I'm not sure about that one, but recreate the Fat Bowser gif? I just think you shouldn't, but that's just my opinion. Shards can trigger Fortifier? Interesting. I'm not familiar with, I was not familiar with that. Venus Ice Mystery Man himself, thank you for the 50 crowns, LEU. Yes, this is actually the Venus Ice Mystery discussion stream with the scope creep. Hey, I will say, while this isn't wrong, I have actually finished a decent amount of the things that got scope creeped, as in almost every video I've ever made. So we're actually going to do something a little bit different to start this stream. Let me actually switch the music. We're going to get the, Crashed Frigate theme, because this is the old reliable for when we talk about some bullshit, right? Okay, here we go. So I have a little something different. Some of you probably saw about a day and a half ago now, I think it was, I put up a community tab post asking people for their Warframe hot takes, and I thought about maybe making this a video, but I feel like doing it on a stream would be more fun, because I think it would be interesting to get my, like, chat's opinion on things, as, Drifter's Respite. Oh, that's the, Teshin Cave theme, right? Is there a version of that on YouTube? Hold on. Drifter's Respite. Yeah, the Teshin's Cave theme. You know what? Actually, sure. This is a good theme. We'll do this one. I hope it's not too quiet. So here's the thing. I thought about making this a video, but I felt like that feels kind of tacky. Like, the videos I make, generally speaking, I try to make them fairly high effort, right? And I feel like doing a video like that feels like it would just be kinda shit. So I'm like, you know what? Let's talk about this on a stream. People have no quality expectations for these anyways, because they know they're gonna suck. So let's just do one here, and we can talk about this stuff, because it'll be funny. To the Therapy Fund, also may not stay long to avoid spoilers for new content. Hope you have a good day. Thanks for stopping by, Cringe Incarnate. We won't be discussing spoilers up front. I want to talk about what's up with the consistent streams. I'm struggling to actually make videos, so this is my content machine. I say that with huge air quotes, until I settle on an actual idea. So, just to kind of switch things over, I have this page pulled up. This was my community tab post. Also, today's live reaction was provided by, I think their name is Torn Sheeta over in the Discord, something like that. Whenever I start my streams, it truncates their username, so I can't see it all. So I want to talk about some of the hot takes that were left here, because I think it'll be interesting. But I do want to say, I don't think people know what a hot take is, because the amount of shit that I've seen in here that I think would be agreed with by 99% of people, and, like, don't get me wrong, a hot take I don't think necessarily has to just be contrarianism. I feel like it has to be, like, a hot take to me is an uncommon opinion. That's kind of, like, the crux of it. It can be something that most people will find agreeable but don't normally think about, or it can be something that people would generally disagree with but you genuinely think is true. But I feel like a lot of people just posted shit that's, like, really straightforward, that, like, everyone would agree with. That's not really a hot take, it's just kind of your opinion. Also, I have considered disabling it, but my concern is what if I accidentally leak something? It's better to play it safe. So, we'll go through this and we'll talk about them. The first one here, we need new spy missions. We haven't had a new slow non-quest content in forever. I know a lot of the community wants kills per second, but I love the times we get to remember the stealthy parts of being space ninjas. Recently doing the LR5 test reminded me of how much doing the various interesting hacks is fun. I'd settle for a hacker-themed frame that has a hack test as their ult that does cool effects. Something like Dante, where other ability determines what hack test and effect the ult will do. I actually 1000% agree with this. I know a lot of people won't. This is a genuinely good hot take, because a lot of people hate Spy. It's my favorite mission type in the entire game. I think that Spy missions are incredibly underrated. If you don't cheese them, they are super fun. Like, take a Warframe that doesn't have anything that makes the Spy mission too easy, like no teleportation, no invisibility, anything like that, and just try to play the Spy mission as intended. They're really fun. But the last new Spy mission we got, I'm reasonably certain, was the Jovian Concord, back in 2019. So I actually completely agree with this. I feel like we should have gotten them for, like, the Zeramin, the labs in Holvania. I really like them, and I think they're really interesting. This one here, Warframe's encounter design is very lacking. We have amazing kits going through a deep progression system, but dealing with enemies feels like herding water. Everything either gets steamrolled or ends up feeling like trying to eat soap with a fork. Difficulty feels solely based on modding, so once you're in the mission, you already know your chances of success after the first group of enemies. The ceiling where an unmodded player can succeed is very low. I agree with this, but with kind of like an asterisk. I think that Warframe's encounter design is lacking, but it's getting better. Like, for example, when it comes to, like, if you look at the recent factions, specifically the Skuldra and the Murmur, I think they're doing a much better job of making meaningful enemies. Or it's soap instead of soup. Oh, I'm pretty sure I said soap. I think I just misread the word. You know, I'm just gonna go with that. But I think that, like, modern factions are doing better about this in terms of, like, making enemies that are more threatening or interesting, and making the encounters more varied based on what you're doing in the mission. But I do think that, generally speaking, the difficulty is mostly modded, like, numbers. Like, there are two types of difficulty, fundamentally, in my view, in a video game. There's, you know, numbers and mechanics, where it's like the numbers is what we have in Warframe, whereas mechanics is a good difficulty system, like, you know, Ultra Kill or something. But I don't think there's really any way to fix that. I think that, like, they're moving towards making more impactful enemies, and I think that's a good area to move. But I feel like, overall, I don't know if Warframe can fix this problem realistically, not without, like, a major overhaul to the game that people probably wouldn't like. Cool ex-wife? What the fuck? 2019 was 6 years ago. True. Am I late to the stream? Not particularly. We're going over the hot takes on my community tab post. So we have this one here. Railjack has always been fun, even when it was a buggy mess. I think this is also a good hot take, because a lot of people do shit talk this game mode. How do you feel about the cool Sonus epidemic? It's rough, man. It's rough. But Railjack, I actually, in a weird way, I miss the original Railjack. There's plenty of stuff I don't miss, don't get me wrong. Like, the old avionics system was pretty garbage. Needing Direct to level things up was annoying. I think the Plexus was a great change. But the one thing I miss more than anything else is having multiple hazards on board your ship at the same time. Between the reduction to one hazard of each type and making it so that you could have a crewmate repair them, engineering is a role that does not exist. Like, you do not have a player take up that role. There's nothing to do. And I absolutely miss that. Like, I feel like they should bring back having multiple hazard types, because it's just too easy to deal with them. Because nowadays it'll be like, oh, I have a fire. I can just put that out with, like, I can let my crewmate do it, or I can use, what is it, Anastasis, I think it's called? The, like, rank 10 engineering perk, and it just completely removes that element from the game. So I feel like having a system, or having that system be more complex would be nice, because really engineering is not a role. You make a crewmate do it, or you do it remotely, and it sucks. I wish that there was more to that. So I think that I agree with this more than I think this guy even does. I miss certain old mechanics that aren't a thing anymore, and I wish they'd bring them back. Okay, moving on to the next one then. The game's difficulty is a binary scale between eyes closed and absolute bullshit. There is no in-between. Certain Archimedia modifiers, the hard mode boss fights, anything that's difficult in this game for endgame players is a choice between engaging with the challenge and dying, or cheesing it and feeling like a goober. I don't know how DE would fix it though. I'm better at complaining than actually doing things. I actually do appreciate that this person just straight up says, I don't know how to fix this, I just think it's annoying. But This is something that I only kind of agree with, because there is stuff in this game that I think is absolute bullshit, specifically certain Archimedia modifiers. The hard mode boss fights do not fall into that category. As someone who's gotten every accolade glyph, they're all pretty fair. They do have their bullshit, don't get me wrong. Each fight has things that's just total nonsense. But actually, this was a recurring thing. People complaining about the hard mode boss fights came up quite a bit. And I thought that was kind of funny, because, like, don't get me wrong, the hard mode boss fights having bullshit mechanics is not fun or fair. But I feel like some of the criticism tilts from this isn't fair to it's too hard. And because it's too hard, I don't think it's fair. And don't get me wrong, as someone who has pretty openly stated in the Overguard video that I don't think randomness is a good form of difficulty and that things that aren't fair suck, I think that all three of the boss fights are fine, in my opinion. I didn't even struggle with them that much. The hardest one for me, by far, was Limbo for Super Vor, because I was deliberately not abusing silence while that was a thing. That got fixed, but Limbo was the hardest one for me by far. But generally speaking, I think that the bosses are pretty fair. My biggest problem with Vor is that there's some nonsense with, like, sliding off the floor and stuff like that that's really annoying. When it comes to the Archimedia modifiers, though, there are some that are absolutely unfair bullshit. Transference Distortion, in my opinion, needs to be massively reworked. Locking you out of your operator sucks, and it just takes away way too many options. Gear Embargo is the same way. I don't think we've ever gotten it, but in Deep Archimedia's update where they added Temporal Archimedia, they added a new modifier called Exposed that completely removes your shields. That is just fucking stupid. Like, why would you even make that a mechanic? There's also Permanent Injury, where taking damage permanently reduces your max health. That one's fucking stupid. I feel like the ones that reduce your efficiency, energy max, and duration being multiplicative is ridiculous. Like, there's a lot of stuff that feels... So here's, I think, kind of the issue. If you had a modifier that removed your shields, but you didn't have random loadouts, that would be fine. I actually think that would be okay, because it's kind of pushing you in a certain direction with your loadout choices. But because it's random, if you get 3 Warframes that are all reliant on shields, you're fucked. Like, say for example, you get like Mag, Hildren, Kome, who's really reliant on shield gating, Caliban, who really plays around shields. There's tons of Warframes this just screws over. And certain abilities, like, can't do anything. Like, if you got Hildren, you can't play that frame with this modifier. You literally can't play that Warframe because they don't do anything anymore. So I feel like a lot of the modifier design kind of sucks because it's very rock, paper, scissors-y. Like, if we had random loadouts and modifiers that were broadly effective, like it didn't punish you for playing a certain kind of frame, that would be fine if we kept the random loadouts and made the modifiers less targeted, or if we kept the targeted modifiers and removed the random loadout system. Because I feel like, purely because of luck, you can get fucked over. And that's something that I think is, like, part of a larger problem. I'm debating making a video about this called Randomness is Difficulty, but as someone who regularly solos Archimedia, the problem isn't that the modifiers and random loadouts make it too hard, it's that it randomizes the fun. That's my issue personally. The fun and the frustration is what's random. If you have bad enough luck, you have to get carried. There's literally no option sometimes. If you have bad enough luck, you cannot do the content. It's rare, but I've had it happen to me a handful of times where, like, all of my options are so bad, I have to play with someone. It is literally impossible to do by myself. And I think that's just not a good way to approach a game mode, personally. I think we definitely could make the randomness work if we wanted to keep that by redesigning the modifiers and weighting the randomness. Like, an idea I had was making it so that each of the Warframe categories now have their own... like, instead of getting 3 totally random Warframes, you would get 4 Warframes, and each of them would be from one category. So, like, you get a support, you'd get a crowd control, you'd get a tank, you'd get a damage. That way, you don't get screwed over by certain mission types, like lacking what you need in that mission type, if that makes sense. Now, there are 5 categories. I'm not proposing that stealth be an option because A, there are no game modes that explicitly reward stealth, and B, everyone in the stealth category except for Loki has an exalted weapon of some kind. I guess Varuna and Araxia don't, but they're so powerful in terms of the damage they do provide that I think stealth would be a genuinely overpowered category, because if you get anybody other than Loki, it's gonna make it too easy, because exalted weapon frames are incredibly powerful when you have randomized loadouts. But I think that doing something like that would be a great solution. Just be like, all right, here's one of each category. I've never had a problem with those game modes, and that's fair. Archimedia being designed with groups in mind, I think, is fine. My problem is that there are scenarios where you have to get carried because all of your options are so bad, and it's not fun to engage with the game mode when you don't feel like you're making an impact on your squad. And I feel like that's kind of the fundamental problem with it for me, is that even beyond the solo argument of like, well, if I can't solo it, it's bad. Like, not necessarily. I do think content in Warframe should be soloable no matter what. But that's, you know, that's one of my own hot takes, I guess. Rage should not come back for that reason, if you ask me. But I feel like the struggle is like, I want to have fun and contribute. And if all of my options are so bad I have to get carried, I'm not having fun. So I know that's kind of a long-winded rant for this one. Like I said, I'm debating making an entire video about this topic. I have a basic outline I'm working on, but making videos like the Overguard video, where it's mostly just my opinion, is really difficult to write, because it's like, how do I say this in a way that's not, like, inflammatory or sounds elitist? But how do I also convey that I do think I'm an authority on this topic on some level because I played the game so much? So I'll just move on. Next one, Warframe is actually a single-player game with co-op features. It was made to be played solo. Most bugs happen in co-op. There's barely any synergy between frames, like real ones designed to be used together by the devs. Missions barely change in multiplayer, etc. I don't know why I have a reply for this open. I kind of agree with this. I think that Warframe has a much bigger lean on single-player than most MMOs. Keep a disclaimer up during the entire video. I could, but that'd get fairly annoying. But I think that the thing is, like, for example, barely any synergy between frames, like real ones designed to be used together by the devs. I think that if you had a Warframe where you needed to have a teammate for them to work, I think would just not be great design. Like, I think that Warframe should be playable solo, and there's plenty of compatibility. Now, I will say, Warframes these days, the way they're built is way more self-reliant. Like, if anyone here played Warframe back when I started in 2014, your team composition mattered way more, because Warframes weren't self-reliant. Like, if you wanted to play Saren, you could kill the entire map, but you needed a trinity to help you. You didn't have things like Focus that allowed you to do it all by yourself. Now, it doesn't really matter. Warframes are so self-sufficient that realistically, you can just do whatever you want, and it doesn't really matter much, because you don't need any of your teammates' help. So I think that, like, there are Warframes that I think handle it well. I think a great example is actually Nidus. Parasitic Link is useful for Nidus in solo, but he has a new route he can take with it whenever he uses it on a teammate. That's unique to multiplayer, that he can give himself the bonus strength and stuff from linking to a teammate and the bonus damage. But the Parasitic Link is still useful in single player, right? You still get a huge amount of damage reduction if you link to an enemy. And I think that having abilities like that, or like Open MIs is another good example. It's not multiplayer exclusive, but it has an effect outside of multiplayer, but has a very useful effect in multiplayer where you can revive allies. It's great in single player for that too, because you can revive your companion, which is like a super goated feature of that ability. But I think that, like, I don't know, I'm a little torn on this one, I guess, because, like, I don't think we should require multiplayer in this game, ever. I just want to say that straight up. I don't think we should ever require multiplayer in Warframe. Like, if you look at Destiny 2, for example, a little what? Holy shit. But if you look at Destiny 2, for example, I think when I talked with Phoenix about this, over 70% of that game's player base has never even completed a raid. That's not even, like, saying that they don't complete raids often, right, or regularly. They've never done one, period. The premier endgame content of Destiny 2, over half the player base has never done it. because it's too difficult to find players for, I imagine, is a big part of it. And raiding with randoms is a miserable experience. But most people don't have 5 other friends that they can do a raid with that are all on the level to do it. I think that if Warframe moved into content that required other people like that, it would just massively hurt the game. And I'm saying that from the perspective of someone who, if they added content like that, I could organize groups in my Discord or something for it, but I don't think it should exist, because it hurts players that aren't in that position. And going through the effort of reaching out to people and trying to organize groups and playing with randoms where it's always a mixed bag, how nice they'll be to you, for example, I think that it's best to just keep that kind of content out of the game. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be benefits to playing in multiplayer, and I think that this person does actually have a very valid point, that Warframe is a single-player game with co-op features at this point. But I think that it would be best to not require it. That's sort of my opinion. Help with that problem. They can, but I feel like organizing something through that system is difficult. You would probably want to do something like a Discord so you can all like get in a voice call or something. And oftentimes that's more than a casual player is willing to do, realistically. I feel like I've spent too much time on this one. Let me scroll down a bit. We have this one here. We should have more stealth-oriented missions. 100% agree. I actually completely agree with this. I feel like stealth is such an underexplored mechanic of this game, and while we do have game modes that reward things like stealth or movement and stuff like that, they're pretty rare. I think that this is a very valid take. Or, honestly, alternative, give us stealth routes to existing missions. For example, what if we changed capture so that sneaking through it to capture the target was a new viable route? Because there are some stealth rewarding game modes. Spy, obviously. Rescue is one where I think it's helpful. Stuff like that. So I think that this is something where there are a few, but I think that there should be more. So I completely agree with this. So scrolling down, we have one from the man himself, Blueprint. The Warframe community is unbearable to deal with these days. I swear I feel like the subreddit broke containment and spilled everywhere. If that wasn't that much of a hot take, Limbo's rework should only address his passive, not the abilities. Now, my opinion on the Warframe subreddit is pretty well known. I hate those people. Now, here's the thing about the Warframe community at large. I think that they can be fine, but sometimes when they really get their panties in a twist about something, they're really unbearable to deal with. So I completely agree with this. Angels of the Zariman just kind of disillusioned me completely from the wider community, because people, like I mentioned this before, the Angels of the Zariman is the last straw post just broke me. I left the subreddit because I couldn't believe how much support such an obviously bad faith and demeaning post had gotten. But people were following me from the subreddit to my streams and telling me that I shouldn't be playing the game because I shouldn't support the devs after that update. One person posted 3 paragraphs in my chat, copy-pasted them in rapid succession, basically telling me that I was contributing to the problem for playing the game on a channel about Warframe. And I feel like it's one of those things where there's just no nuance in the Warframe community anymore. Either it's a toxic positivity circle jerk or a toxic negativity circle jerk, and you can't really do anything either way. And it also sucks because if you try to approach any particular thing, then you're going to be accused of being part of the extreme. If I make a video about Warframe that's critical, like my Overguard videos, for example, a lot of people will do one of two things. Bash me for making it something that's critical and acting like I can't talk negatively about the game, or people who are far more extreme than me and hate the game within, irrationally so, will act like I'm on their side. And it sucks, and that shit's annoying as fuck. So I agree with this. Now, this isn't a Warframe community exclusive problem, but the Warframe community is very bad about it. Compared to a lot of other gaming communities, they're really bad about it. And then Limbo's rework should only address his passive. I don't know enough about Limbo to say either way, to be honest. I would have to consult Sci-Fi Freak about this. Moving on, digital extremes need to flesh out content more before adding new stuff and maybe return to older pieces of content. Here's my thing with this opinion. One, this is not a hot take. This is incredibly common. I see people say this all the time. But 2, Digital Extremes already does this, and I feel like there's this weird cognitive dissonance about updating old content because it's not specific pieces of content. Like, so Railjack and Arcwing 100% agree that we should have new updates to that content, specifically Railjack. We haven't had one in 4 years. But Duviri received 2 additional supplementary updates right after it came out, and we literally just had an update that revisited that content. And they've already said they want to try and do, I believe, 1 new batch of Decrees and 1 new batch of Incarnans a year, something like that, to keep the game mode relevant. Vor just got a boss fight rework. We've had several tile set remasters. We get like 4 or 5 Warframe reworks a year at this point. Plenty of older content does get refreshed, and I feel like there's this weird prevailing narrative that DE doesn't change old content when there's just a shit ton of evidence to the contrary. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it would be best for the game if the developers took a year to just improve it. They didn't focus on new content releases, they just reworked Warframes, reworked game modes, overhauled abandoned systems like Railjack, like Invasion, stuff like that. Maybe gave us new star chart locations even, or like added new tile sets to areas that don't have unique ones like Pluto and Neptune and Sedna. But you can't market that. You can't market stuff like that, and your player base will get bored. Even if you're improving the game, the reality is people want new stuff to play with, especially if they're at the end of the game. So people will get bored, and people will ultimately kind of trickle out, I imagine, if they don't continue to release new things. And so it's like, is this, I think, would probably be like the optimal path for the health of the game? Yes, but I also am willing to acknowledge that I don't believe it's realistic. If the company is to survive and continue making the game, then I don't really think there's a way to do that and completely focus on bug fixing and overhauling old content. They mix it into updates, and I think that that's the best approach they can have. Just mix it into new content releases. Like, they do that all the time now. Every major update has some old system getting overhauled, and I think that's a good thing. Thank you for the 5 red pixel. Warframe players really just parrot what YouTubers say from 5 years ago. Retalius and his consequences have been disastrous for the community. That's not even a hot take to me. I completely agree with that, actually. Maybe it is a hot take at large. Retalius did cause some lasting damage to this community. I'm not even gonna lie to you on that. But yeah, I feel like even looking at like the last updates, we had the Exalted overhaul was a huge way to update old content. Ash got reworked. We just had Valkyr's reworked. Inaros got reworked. Frost and Ember got reworked. Like, there's so many examples to point to. We've probably had, like, what? Since new DE took over, it probably had to be, like, 20 reworks at this point? I don't know. I feel like this take is, like, fair, but kind of cognitively dissonant. Let me just try to catch up. Who is Retalius? That's lore. As I'm leaving, I see how it is. Grim. But yeah, Retalius is some lore. I don't really feel like going too in-depth about it. Basically, Retalius was a YouTuber whose brand was critiquing the game, and that's fine. You can be critical of the game, but it got to a point where it was just genuinely irrational hatred. And a lot of his later videos, he just lied about the game. Just straight up, he'd lie about things to be mad about. And I feel like a lot of his early videos were good. Like, a lot of his early videos brought up genuine problems about the game, and they were valuable. Especially with, like, the Guides of the Lotus programs problems and stuff like that. Even though the fact that he went after Danielle specifically was pretty shitty, if you ask me, to make it personal like that. But he would go on to just talk shit about the game over things that he basically made up. Like, I remember specifically when I started watching him, or when I stopped watching him, was he made a video talking about how DE thought Steel Path was endgame, and you could literally disprove this by reading the patch notes. They say in the patch notes that added Steel Path that their objectives for the Steel Path, one of the things in that section was something to the effect of, like, they don't want it to be associated with the nebulous concept of endgame. Like, it says in the patch notes, you can go read this. The developers have said that this is not supposed to be endgame. So you're making an entire video off of a false pretense you can literally fact check in less than 5 minutes. And it just kind of went downhill from there. I think that Retalius quitting the game was good for him, genuinely, and I don't hate the guy at all, but it was clearly he had a very bad relationship with the game at that point, and a very bad relationship with the content he was making at that point, and him leaving was for the best. All right, I'll move on. After the Valkyrie rework and the perception of the people around the invincibility frame, I know my hot take. They were right to remove it, and also Revenant should be the next to go. Basically, all Revenant skills should be reworked, and that's so easy peasy invincibility changed with at least a more skillful way to achieve it. This part is not a hot take at all. The amount of people in this that have said they should nerf Revenant is like, it's got to be like 20% of everything that was posted here. People asking for Revenant to be nerfed is like the most ice-cold take possible. And I will say this. Valkyrie losing her invincibility, were they right to remove it? I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I don't think it was a bad thing. I think that Valkyrie having to play around her high armor identity was a good change, and in my experience so far, I have never been in danger of dying as Valkyrie. She is incredibly tanky. In all content that you're actually going to play, she's really easy to keep up. The thing with Revenant, I am going to espouse what I think is probably the actual hot take. I don't think Revenant needs to be nerfed, because I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, if you need Revenant to survive, you're not good at the game, and that sounds really shitty and elitist to say, but like, real talk here. Revenant removes dying, but there's so many ways to remove dying from the game if you know how to play it, that I don't think he's overpowered. He's just the easiest solution. Do I think that making Mesmer skin different would probably be better for the game overall? Realistically, yes, but I don't think it's necessary, because, like, when it comes to Mesmer skin, what else are people playing him for? The rest of Revenant has a kit that is interesting, genuinely. Like, if you want to play around his one-shot setup, his disco lasers, stuff like that, there's plenty of cool stuff that you can do, but people ignore it for Mesmer skin, and not dying isn't that overpowered, if you want my honest opinion. It's just, you're ignoring that mechanic, but there's plenty of other solutions to it. Let me catch up real quick. The community keeps saying enemies are too strong at high level, except the term is intentionally vague, so they don't have to say they suck at Steel Path. I think that's part of it. Also, Revenant kills all game design, God Mode disables all game mechanics. That's not true, if you want my honest opinion. Like, not dying removes not dying. There's still plenty of other mechanics that are separate from dying. You can still lose a mission as Revenant because you're not killing enough enemies for life support, or because you're not defending the objective well enough, or because you're, you know, plenty of other things. And like I said, realistically, I feel like being at risk of death is something that is avoidable enough through other means that I don't feel like it's this horrible thing that has to go. I feel like it would be better for the game if it wasn't pure invincibility. I don't think he's in, like, desperate need of a nerf. I feel like it's a very popular opinion to hate on him, and that's fine. You don't have to like him. I don't play Revenant much these days. I used to a lot when he was new because I liked the way his kit worked. Need active gameplay. God Mode ignores it killing gameplay. I don't agree with that. Ignoring death doesn't mean that you don't engage with the game at all anymore. That was a problem with Wukong. Like, Wukong didn't engage with the game because his clone could play it for him, but there's still active participation required on the part of the Revenant. What's up with the funeral music? This is the Teshin's Cave theme from Duviri. I feel like there's still, I don't know. Like I said, my opinion is, does Revenant, like, desperately need a nerf? Is he killing the game? No, I don't think so. If you abuse Mesmer skin, that's on you. And I don't think that using Mesmer skin in a public environment is disruptive to the experience. Like, with Wukong, you could just walk away from the keyboard, right? And I think that that was a problem, realistically. But if you're playing Revenant, does it disrupt other people's experience if you're invincible? Not really. Like, it makes the game boring for you, maybe? But if you're using, you know, Revenant, Torrid, something like that, you're hurting your experience. I don't feel like it's hurting anyone else's, necessarily. There's plenty of Warframes that are way more disruptive to the experience than Revenant is. But I think that with Revenant being so popular and being so easy, he's kind of the one that's in the spotlight. I expect something to happen with how much people are complaining about him. He'll probably get a nerf, and I don't think it's unwarranted necessarily. I just don't think it's like a pressing topic. And you're welcome to disagree with me on that. Obviously, plenty of people think this. It was a very common take here. But I don't know. That's just kind of how I see it. Next up, unsure of how hot this take is, but Forma should not require 23 hours to build. They are one of the most used resources, especially with 5 Forma weapons that require you to Forma them 5 times for full mastery. Wouldn't be much of a problem if we had like 2 of these weapons every update, but we get like 20 in one go with the Nemesis. Give the Formas constructed instead of blueprints or make them 1-hour timers. This part is kind of irrelevant. I will say this. We already have an answer for why this isn't the case. I agree that Forma shouldn't be 23 hours. Rebecca has already said on a dev short the reason it's this long is because they're one of the game's most important microtransactions. That's the reason. Is that they take so long to build, even though you need so many of them, because they make too much money to not do this. And I think that's just kind of the cold reality of it, really, is people buy Forma, so making it easier to obtain would take a lot of income away. And it's like I said, it's the harsh reality of it. Like, I'm honestly glad that Rebecca has the guts to just come out and say that. Like, it's a monetization reason. That's why we do it. There's plenty of things that I feel like are worse in terms of things that Warframe does with microtransactions, primarily slots, and I think that other crafting times should be lowered. I don't think you're pushing anyone into a microtransaction when you're making them wait 12 hours for like an Exceltra or something. They're not going to be dropping 200 platinum on that gun for that. But I don't know, that's just kind of my thoughts about it. And like I said, we have an answer for why this isn't going to get changed. Also, welcome to Cool Kids Suck Mud. I didn't expect to see you here. We're reading hot takes from my community tab. But are welcome. I hope Suckmud addresses the allegations in the Kome video. At least a 2 times Forma blueprint. So interesting thing about that. Okay, everyone, I need you. Okay, listen here, get close. Everyone here, I need you all to swear an oath you don't tell DE what I'm about to tell you, because I only know this because of data mining. So technically, this is information that was obtained illegitimately, and I cannot disclose my source. There has been a thing that was found in the game files called the Forma Crucible. The Forma Crucible was an upgrade to the Foundry that would let you make 2 Forma at once. This has never been added and will probably never be added, but it was something they were experimenting with. This has been in the game for a long time, like well over a year, and it's functional from what the person who found this out told me, but they're probably not going to add it. I hope that one day they go back on this and add the Forma Crucible to the game, but we've heard absolutely nothing about it. It was never even publicly acknowledged. We just know about it because of data mining. Okay, so from there, this is from Phoenix, someone I actually know. Warframe as a game is about what you know and what you own, not about what you're mechanically capable of doing. There are some difficult mechanical elements, but almost anybody can succeed in Warframe if they have the right gear and know how to apply it regardless of skill level. I actually don't agree with this. Most of the game, this applies. I will say that. A lot of the game, if you have the right gear, this applies. However, I do think that there are things where this does not apply. Namely, things like Eidolons, Profit Taker speedrunning, all of the super bosses. There's plenty of stuff in the game that does require mechanical skill now. Do I think that a lot of the game is just a gear check? Yes, I actually absolutely do. Knowing enough of the mechanics and having enough of the stuff allows you to solve most of the game's problems regardless of mechanical skill. But I think that knowledge and completion are in and of themselves just a different kind of skill, if that makes sense. Like, knowing enough about the game to know what you need for certain scenarios, I think is a skill, like, it's a form of skill in and of itself. Just because you're not pulling off, like, some crazy ultra kill, like, you know, super coin strategy or some shit, doesn't mean that you aren't able to perform, you know, some feat of skill just by knowing that certain things work out together. And like I said, certain things are mechanically challenging. Eidolons, PT speedruns, the super bosses, all that stuff do require mechanical skill. Like the Vor super boss, you have to mash that shit like you're on Adderall, dude. You have to have some fucking solid grasp of the movement to not get reduced to ashes if you're trying to unlock those glyphs. In the Undercroft solo, unironically, yes, I only have one of those lore fragments left in that area that I can't grab in time. But yeah, I think that, like, I agree with that mechanical skill isn't particularly required, but I think that skill in Warframe isn't exclusively mechanical. There's a Vor super boss? Yes, there is. There's a little terminal you have to hack in order to do it. It's too much for me to explain right now, honestly. I'll move on here. DE gets their fair share, or more than their fair share of praise, due in large part to a lack of communication from other game dev companies, not because they themselves are paragons of communications in game development. There are plenty of issues over the years DE have stayed silent on, actively avoided, or done poorly with. They deserve a lot of credit, but the community tends to take it to a whole different level. I completely disagree with this, honestly. You can call me a glazer for this opinion. The Warframe community does not deserve digital extremes. We genuinely don't. Like, the amount of times we've had changes as responses to feedback, dev workshops showing their intentions, changes to the game that were deliberately anti-monetization. Like, for example, them tanking the arcane market on multiple occasions. Like I said, you can call me a glazer for this opinion. Warframe's community does not deserve digital extremes. We get developer live streams from the game's creative director every week. I feel like they are good developers, and I feel like while it's true that, you know, the rest of the industry is doing them no favors, I think that they do deserve the credit, absolutely. So, like I said, that's just my opinion, but I feel like it's kind of, I don't know. If you're jaded and this is how you think, I can't blame you, but I don't agree with it at all. Moving down, survival is the worst game mode. It's just 5 to 10 minutes of waiting. There are no side objectives nor ways to decrease the timer, so it's the only mode where you can just AFK most of the time and only come back to activate life support. I wish CE would change all the survival missions to be more like they are in Duviri, which has the best implementation of the system. Life supports are rare, so you have to go around killing enemies to get the personal ones. Can't just sit around because you'll fail. I agree with this in one half and then disagree in the other. I agree with the fact that survival is not a fun game mode. I think it's really boring. But I don't agree with Duviri being the best implementation. Also, thank you for joining Cool Kid Glory the Dirk. I think you were a previous member, so thanks for coming back. I appreciate it. But, like, yeah, so that's something that was just mentioned by someone in chat. I don't know, I missed your name. But if you look... what is it called? The 1999 variant of survival, Hellscrub. Hellscrub is a good example of requiring more activity. And I think that, like, or EDA and ETA, where you can kill mini-bosses to progress the timer, those are great mechanics, and I'd like to see them spread more. Duviri I find annoying when it comes to its approach, and that's because Duviri double nerfed survival. Not only did they reduce the amount of life supports you need, but they also made it so that your life support capsules are only worth half. They're worth 2.5%, not 5%. I don't think they should have gotten both nerfs, because it is just annoying to upkeep now, and I think if that was applied to the rest of the game, it would considerably hurt the viability of certain Warframes, because in Duviri you have decrees that massively increase your kill power, but in the rest of the game you don't have access to stuff like that. So I think that just, like, making it so that it's harder to get life support wouldn't be the solution. I think we should have more mechanics that encourage something more than just killing all the enemies. That's my personal opinion. Moving on, if Lunaro had a mission introducing it similar to the Index, we would have a properly incentivized, i.e. cosmetics or even clan rewards. It would have gotten a ton more love and would have been community significant. This for me is like a maybe, because Lunaro, I've played it. It gets boring really fast, if you want my opinion. It feels like the developers kind of wanted a thing like that because, you know, other games have it. And I feel like... How do I put this? I think that the reason Lunaro isn't popular isn't because the game doesn't advertise it. I think it's because it's inherently niche. I feel like that's the main reason. Same with, like, the game's PvP in general. There are rewards worth doing PvP for. They're called Conclave skins. Conclave skins all look fucking awesome. I think that's a good enough incentive to grind Conclave, unironically. But the issue to me is that it's just not particularly fun. Like, even when they were doing the alerts for, like, the Snowball Showdown game mode, people, even though there was, like, unique rewards, by the end of that event, it was still getting hard to find matches. Because people weren't having fun with it anymore. And yes, Conclave has unique skins in the maximum tier. Just needs to be advertised better. I think that that's like the thing. If you participated in that tournament, it's because you already liked Lunaro, right? I think that like if they were to advertise Lunaro more, it wouldn't make it last. Let me put it that way. Like if they ran an event for Lunaro, it would get a temporary surge in popularity. I don't think it would last, because a lot of the people that play Lunaro, like that like it, are already playing it, and I don't know how much bigger of a market you can access with that. So, I don't know. This is one of those things where I think that ultimately they would have to just do something and we'd see how the effects pan out. I don't feel like this take is necessarily like a good or bad, so much as like a, I don't know if this would pan out the way that they're mentioning it, or the way that they're proposing it, like an introductory quest or something. If there was an event, maybe, you know, people would find out that they like the game mode, but I don't know. It's kind of a difficult thing to say for sure. Moving on, damage attenuation makes no sense in endgame missions, but could work in low-level missions to keep high-level players in check. This is going to be what I think will be my hot take of the video. Damage attenuation, to some extent, is a necessary evil. And I think that damage attenuation exists specifically to keep high-level players in check in high-level content, because there is no difficulty without it. Now, I do think damage attenuation is overused. I absolutely think that we use it in places that it doesn't belong. Certain enemies have multiple layers of it. There's been a bug ever since Whispers in the Walls where certain enemies will never stop scaling their damage attenuation, namely mechs and dedicants. That stuff like that is ridiculous, and it shouldn't be as abused as it is. I think like the Jugulus has like 5 layers of damage attenuation. It's ridiculous. But I think that at the same time, if there's no damage attenuation, there's no enemy variety matters at that point a lot of the time. Because, like, if you can kill certain enemies immediately, then what threat do they pose to you? Like, don't get me wrong, I think that things like the Dedicant and the Babao are too tanky. But at the same time, if we just let them take all of the damage just straight up, then you run into the problem of giving them a shit ton of HP, which makes certain weapons struggle against them a lot more than others. Or we go the route of just letting them die instantly, and at which point, where is the challenge? You can just get rid of them. I think that, like, attenuation is abused. Like, for example, launch Archons were a great example of it being way too aggressive. I think that Dedicants still are too aggressive with their attenuation. Babaos are too, honestly. And attenuation pushes you in a certain direction. It wants you to use higher rate of fire, mostly crit-oriented weapons a lot of the time. And I feel like that sucks, because the point of attenuation is to level the playing field for time to kill, so that, you know, certain weapons don't become, like, mandatory, I guess, or, like, others don't fall behind. But the problem is that it just doesn't do that. Like, you take a look at, for example, the Archon one-shot strat. That's the only real situation where that type of gun is viable. If you don't kill the Archon in one shot, the attenuation will rob you of dealing any damage. So, I feel like, attenuation is one of those things where I think it's a necessary evil. There's certain, like, bosses, especially, would not work without it. Certain heavy enemies wouldn't work without it because we deal too much damage in this game. If we can hit 2 billion damage, there has to be something to keep us in check. We can't just give an enemy 2 billion health. That wouldn't be fair, especially for people who don't have access to those types of things. But I think that it is overly abused. A lot of enemies have too many layers of it, and I think that we could dial it down or rein it in. Low roll when you just die, real and true. Because, yeah, certain enemies like Dedicants, mechs, stuff like that, they are tanky enough that you just sit there and wail on them, especially if they're a Leech Eximus. Leech Eximus Void Rigs and Leech Eximus Dedicants, you may as well not even fight them. They're genuinely so difficult to kill, it's not even worth it. Alright, I'll go ahead and move on. Potentially a hot take. I love Duviri. It's such an awesome place with a gimmick I like, an open world that's fun to explore. Lore is fascinating and gives insight into all sorts of topics in Warframe, and the themes in Duviri, such as spirals and emotions, all being told in a storybook is awesome. Again, I don't really know if it's a hot take. I just know that there are some people who hate it due to the bugs Duviri has. When I first saw this, I didn't think this was a hot take. And then I saw the rest of the stuff people were posting in the comments, And it actually kind of is. I received a lot of comments about people not liking Duviri at all, be it for random loadouts or playing as the Drifter or like a variety of reasons. So this apparently is a hot take, and I completely agree with it. I think that Duviri is incredibly fun. I think one of the things that I've consistently observed with the Warframe community is Warframe's community doesn't like engaging with parts of the game that isn't, or that aren't the norm, right? So like, people don't like engaging with Duviri. A lot of the criticism is they don't want to play as the Drifter, or I've seen people who don't want to play the Call mission because they don't want to play as Call, they want to play as their Warframe. And, or like people don't like game modes like Orphix because they don't want to play as their mech. I feel like, for me personally, as someone who's played this game for over 10 years, I like having the gameplay broken up sometimes. It depends though. Call missions got boring. Even after they made them more interesting with weapon drops and stuff, the system's been abandoned, there's nothing new to do there. So I think that did get boring. But personally, I like playing as my Drifter. It's a new way to play the game that's a break from the typical gameplay, and I'm fine with that. It seems like people hating on operators when they got reworked. There were a lot of people that hit me with the argument that I don't like the operator rework because they're too useful. I don't want to play my operator, and now they're giving me a reason to. And my thought process there is, one, if you don't like that they're useful now, just don't use them. You had to play your operator for the benefits pre-rework too. But even beyond that, like, I feel like having a break from the normal gameplay sometimes is something I personally enjoy. And I get people who don't, right? If you don't like that, that's entirely your prerogative. But personally, I do. And I think that the Drifter gameplay is probably the best executed non-Warframe gameplay we have. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and keep... I've been doing this for almost an hour, so I don't want to go for too much longer with the hot takes. I was gonna play the actual game, but... okay. Well, this one. Veterans and YouTubers are very out of touch with the new player experience. Some are fine and suggest easy ways to acquire... some are fine and suggest easy to acquire mods, but then some are suggesting stuff... This is really weirdly worded. Adaptation, which only drops from arbitrations, which are like the hallmark mode for transitioning into Steel Path. There are also mods like Energy Nexus, which I'm pretty sure only drops from the Murmur/Endgame post-New War content, or like Magnetic mods, which come from 1999. That was a little bit weirdly worded, but it seems to me like this is... There's a lot I could have inferred from this, but it's like specifically new player-oriented builds are the complaint here, and I agree with this actually. If you're making content geared towards newer players primarily, advertising things to them they don't have is something that happens all the time. Like, okay, does anyone remember when the Nidus new player pack came out? There was a new player pack that gave you Nidus, Boltor, I think it was like a max Serration and some Platinum. And when that happened, Tactical Potato partnered with DE to make a video on their official YouTube channel for a build for Nidus, and it contained several corrupted mods that were maxed out, which are things new players don't have. The pack is marketed as like, you just got the game, here's a new Warframe for you to play. And Tactical Potato's beginner build was just really out of touch, because like, these mods aren't things people have. So I think if you're making that kind of like new player specific content, then yeah, this is actually something that happens pretty often. And cynical anti-meta sweats? True. Just trying to catch up on the chat a little bit here, but it's moving quickly enough that I have a lot to say, and not a lot of time to read it. Regular heck build for new players? Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. If your new player build requires a maxed mod or a forma, it's not a new player build. I'm just gonna say that now. We'll scroll down to this one. Hot take, all scannable lore items should be marked by Orkanai and Golden Instinct. I want the story, but Jesus, after a certain point in the game, I don't want to go on a goddamn scavenger hunt. For example, the Alad V lore things from when they updated the Gas City tile set years back won't get marked. I forget the... Oh, no, I remember the partnership. And the fragments on the Orb Ballast that don't get marked, and I'm still missing some all these years later. At least in Isleweaver, the fragments are loud as shit, and I found them all just today. Still gotta find certain bodies I just learned about, so more fucking hunting. So I will say this. I think fragments should be easier to find. Like, the noise that's made by the lore fragments in Duviri is great. I think that if they get marked by things like Golden Instinct, it can kind of be messy. Auric and I is probably fine, but here's the thing. Here's sort of my stance on this. Is a scavenger hunt not the point? Like, when it comes to looking around, trying to find lore fragments, is that not, like, where the fun of it is for most people? Like, if you don't like this, you can look up a guide. I don't know. Maybe I'm, like, being shitty about this, but I feel like for a lot of people, the exploration is why they think it's fun. And so, like, if you had a way to just drop Auric and I and mark them all, is that not just removing the purpose of hiding them in the first place? Like, for the partnership, for example, I didn't know those fragments existed until I found one on accident exploring, and that was a really cool experience. And then I went on to find the rest, partially with the help of a guide. I tried to find as many of them as I could by myself. I think I got like 3 of them, because they're pretty well hidden. But I think that, I don't know. For me, I would just say, I think that using a guide is the best route. Collectibles are supposed to have that scavenger hunt element to them, and I don't think it's necessarily a problem that they do. Now, them making a noise when you're close, I do think that's a good thing. And I think that having things like, with the Duviri fragments, when you pick up a fragment, it tells you which ones that you still need, is also a good thing. I wish we had a system for showing you where you still had fragments left. Like, you know, you could see on a specific area of the map how many you had and how many you still needed. But, like, there's certainly stuff that could change, but into a 9-minute video. I want to make something clear when I say look up a guide. I'm not even suggesting YouTube guides. I'm suggesting written guides. I've obtained every lore fragment in this game except for one of the new ones. I've never watched a YouTube guide for them. There are plenty of written guides, like on the Steam forums and stuff, that are more than suitable. I got all of my Curia that way, and there's like, what? I think almost 50 of them? So, I feel like, and if you're going to watch a YouTube guide and there's ads in it, that's not really the game's fault. More like a chore than an Easter egg hunt. I agree with that. I feel like the chase is part of the experience for a lot of people. Alright, I guess I'll move on. The old adversary system of Liches and Sisters felt more thematic to personal player 10.0 equal than the Codas. While the Codas do have some technical improvements by the Parason mod acquisition, Volvania standing in 1999 calendar awards, and of course the Showdown, hunting an adversary that takes control of your star chart and stealing something you value makes it more satisfying to vanquish and take their personal weapon. I think the Lich and Sister abilities should be changed to fit a proper boss fight, and the Requiem mod acquisition should be made easier. And for the weapons, make the progenitor bonus increase by 3 to 5% per level. I agree with this for the most part. The Codas start to feel really, really boring after a while. And I agree with you as well, Red. Your frontman doesn't really matter. I think that the Coda boss fights don't feel very personal, even if they are easier to grind. I like the boss fight personally. I like the Coda boss fight a lot, but the actual grind is really boring. And I feel like, in a weird way though, I don't think the regular adversary system feels personal either. Like, how many of you actually remember a Lich or a Sister that you fought for a specific reason? Like, do any of you have any fond memories? Because of the dozens of them I've done, I can only think of a few Liches and Sisters I actually remember. And I feel like if the system was to achieve its goals, I should have some kind of emotional attachment to the adversary. But for the most part, I don't. Also, yes, this is a community post on my channel. So I remember a couple for various reasons, but not that many. And I wish that they would overhaul the system to be more personal. I just don't think that they're ever going to because of the existence of the Warner Brothers patent on the Nemesis system. One of the many reasons Warner Brothers can burn in hell. I'll go ahead and move on. Cool Kid is one of the best Warframe channels and doesn't get the recognition he deserves. That's false. I'm straight up disliking that one. Vor doesn't have enough, or Vor doesn't enough story. That probably is supposed to say have enough story. He should get a romance quest. I don't want the damn key, Vor. I just want the key to your heart. Ban that guy. Okay, anyone here agree with the take that we should be able to romance Vor? This is an interesting take. This is an interesting take. I'm not going to make any comment on it. Vor's second monologue in the Undercroft is better than the original. I disagree with this for one reason. It's interruptible. the Wonder Woman game got canceled. I heard that it was potentially going to get overturned. I never heard if it actually happened, though. Would have to look. But Vor's second monologue I don't actually think is better than the first because you can interrupt it. Like, if you couldn't interrupt it, I could see it. But because you can interrupt it, it's just not... It's not as good. The whole reason it was a meme was because you can't stop it. I feel like it kind of missed the point on the second one. I honestly wish they did more cool stuff with syndicates. Like if you have high standing with them, they'll set up their operations at the Drifter camp, and even going so far to bring you certain resources they're able to obtain when you're out on missions. Would be cool if they did that. I agree that syndicates should deserve more expansion. We still have 2 syndicates with no real quests attached to them. Steel Meridian and the Arbiters of Hexus. Of course, Arbiters have arbitrations and Meridian has disruption or defection, but they kind of feel underdeveloped from a story perspective to me. And then, like most of the Steel Meridian lores and events, like Rathum and stuff like that, right? Rathum, defection, the operation that rebuilt Strata Relay that I can't think of the name of, all of that stuff. Pyrus Project, that's what it was called. But yeah, I think that making what syndicate you're in more impactful would be cool, and it's a system that's kind of been abandoned. We haven't had that much added to it in the many years that it's come out, so I agree with this one. Warframe's plot and lore should be praised more. We have one of the most emotional stories in gaming, yet people don't talk about them. We need to spoiler them more so people would be interested in playing the game. I agree with this, actually. Warframe's story is great. I have my problems with the New War and post-New War approach to the story. I think some of it feels kind of contrived or like theory baity at times, but overall I do think this game is a great story, and I think that it's not talked about enough. I agree with that completely, especially the original cinematic trio of Second Dream, War Within, and Sacrifice. Those 3 quests have some of the most interesting lore and like emotional impact of any quest in the game. I will forever remember when I was like in middle school playing through the Second Dream when it came out and seeing the reveal of, you know, the Warframe hitting the floor and the operator crawling towards them. Was genuinely fucking mind-blowing. I don't think I've ever had a plot twist in a video game blow my mind that much, and that's a very special thing. Like, my brother Heston started playing this game a few years ago now. He doesn't play it anymore, but he asked me to help him with something. He was pretty young at the... Like, I want to make this clear. My brother Heston is like 8 years younger than me, so I was helping him out because he was, I don't know, like 13, and he wasn't able to complete a particular portion of the Orb Valis' quest, the Fortuna quest. That was back before they nerfed it. So back then, the shock mows would like one-shot you and shit. So he asked for my help with it. You can't do that quest multiplayer, by the way. Like, I was physically at my dad's house playing the game for him. But when I was helping them with this, he was like, oh yeah, I don't have operator mode yet, so you'll keep that in mind. And I remember thinking to myself, like, that sucks. Why does he know about operator mode? He's on, like, the 3rd quest in the game, the 4th quest in the game. Vox Solaris is really early. He hadn't even unlocked, like, Mars yet. I was like, why do you know about this? And that just made me realize, like, damn, we should probably treat this story with more respect. Because the fact that he knows about that sucks. I really like the lore, though. That's fair, and I guess that's a distinction that is important. Who told you this? That's how I felt. Like, why do you know about this? Octavia deserves a rework to make her actually use her whole music theme. The first step of this rework would be to remove Mallet completely. I think that a rework to Octavia would be nice because she does suck with her theme. Does she need one? Not really, but I actually agree that Mallet is a problematic ability. It lets you, like, people don't seem to realize how broken Octavia actually is. You can just throw down the Mallet, and that's it. It plays the game for you. I feel like overhauling the music theme to be more of an actual mechanic would be much better. Do I think that she's going to be up for a rework? No, she's a top tier. There's no way they're going to rework her soon, but I actually agree with this. Hot take, I think Warframe is a perfectly satiable game, and I don't really have anything I want to change about it. I don't really have anything I want to complain about, and I think people who are typing 5-paragraph essays about all the things wrong with the game are valid, but should also probably just try playing something else for a while. As a game to just turn your brain off and have fun, it's really good at doing that. I have a lot that I feel initially when reading this. So, like, Warframe is a game that's good to just turn your brain off. This opinion is bad. You can't have a wrong opinion, but you can have a bad opinion, and I think this is a bad opinion. Here's my reasoning for that. Saying that if you have a problem with the game, the solution is to not provide feedback and just not play it, I think is kind of stupid. Like, as someone who has made videos that are critical of the game, the reason people critique the game is one of two things. They blindly hate it, which does happen, or they love the game and want it to be better. And that's why I critique the game, because I want the game to be better. And I feel like the position of, if you don't like a certain thing, just don't engage with it, or just don't think about it, just do something else, is really reductive. Because I think that, like, critiquing something because you want it to be better is the point. And it's not a bad thing to express your displeasure with something because you want it to improve. This comment, I'm reasonably certain, yeah, is really fucking long. I don't think I can read this one. I'm sorry to whoever left this. I did read it previously. I can't really give a public opinion on it because it's just so long. There needs to be a better way to access ultra high level missions for people who want the challenge other than waiting for hours in infinite missions. I think that could work. The problem for me is that I don't want that content to feel like you have to engage with it, right? So I feel like, could there be a fast track to it? Sure. Is it necessary? No, I don't think it. So to me, this is kind of like a neutral. Like, sure, if they want to, that's fine. But I don't think it's needed. Moving on, Grendel was much more fun before the rework. I missed my ridiculously large ball and greeting Malice with the Acolyte by dropping 40 half-adjusted enemies on top of him. Every time I hear the ooh-woo coming from the Saren or Wukong, I feel disgusted. This is going to be a divisive statement. I completely disagree. I think Grendel was really boring and one-tricky before his rework. Personally, I absolutely think he's better post-rework, not from a power perspective, but from an enjoyment perspective. Previously, Grendel's kit did not work with itself almost at all, and he was the one trick of eat a bunch of enemies, cast Nourish, and hope you get an energy orb, and then vomit them all out. That was all he really did. I didn't think it was very fun. I do think that they basically removed that from his identity, and that kind of sucks. I wish that them limiting it to 5 wasn't the approach they took, because it does hurt that part of his identity. But I think that he's still more fun post-rework because his kit feels more functional. It feels like it plays, you know, with its other abilities more, and I think that's a good thing. Next up, Vermink should be companions. I completely agree. Base to Wally as always. Normal Deviri is actually fun, and I'm set that the new game mode is constrained to such a small map. Kind of already talked about this already, but I do agree with that. Gyre is a top 5 Warframe. Spy missions are fun. Void Armageddon is fun. Agree with both of these. I do not agree Gyre is a top 5 Warframe, not out of the box at least. She is incredibly powerful, but I feel like her kit lacks 2 major things. It lacks sustain, and it lacks armor removal. The problem is you can fix that with pillage, but then you have to sacrifice part of her actual kit. I am of the opinion, personally, that Gyre should be changed so that her 1 steals armor from enemies and restores and like gives you shields when it takes away their armor. If they made that change, I think she would be perfect. Basically, make her 1 like a pillage zone that you can throw out. If they did that, I think she would work really well. But because we already have an augment for her 1 that doesn't do that, I don't expect them to ever make that change. So as is, she kind of just feels like she requires pillage, which sucks, because when you play her with her whole kit, I think she's really fun, but she very noticeably struggles without those 2 things. I think that she is very good, but I don't feel like she's top 5. Like, if I had to talk about Warframes that I think are in the top 5, that would be like, I don't know, I definitely put probably Gauss and Dante, I think, are up there. Octavia, obviously, is up there. I feel like Wukong isn't as dominant as he used to be, but even, like, beyond that, it's kind of a fool's errand. Like, who cares who's the top 5? It's all subjective at the end of the day. Can people who talk about hounds shut up about them? I actually agree with you, Blueprint. Fishing is fun and relaxing. I agree with that. I don't know how much of a hot take that is, I guess. Sorry, my brain was buffering there. The Zeraman has the best tileset in the game by miles aesthetic-wise, and I think it should have new missions. That's kind of it. Probably not even a hot take. Do I think it's the best tileset? Not personally. Does it deserve new missions? Fuck yes, it deserves new missions. In fact, I'm going to go one step further. We should have an Archimedia-style game mode in the Zeraman. We deserve an update that adds endgame content to the Zeraman. It is the only post-New War tileset that doesn't have anything like that. Now, do I think that Archimedia should be overhauled to not be as cancer? Yes, I do. That's a separate problem. I think that the Zeraman deserves some kind of, like, repeatable endgame activity. Maybe a Netracell side grade. Maybe if you don't want to do Archimedia, maybe do a Netracell side grade. I think that there's a lot of cool stuff we could still do there. Like, spy missions are one that I think really should be on the Zeraman. Zeraman spy would be really cool. So I'd love to see more stuff there, for sure. I think we've been doing this for, like, what, an hour and a half? I should probably try and wrap this up. An hour and 15 minutes. Here's mine. How long is this? Quite a bit. Okay, we're just gonna take the plunge. Fuck it. Here's mine. Randomized loadouts immediately kill any enjoyment I would get out of any game mode they're present in. And no, it's not because I'm a Revenant one trick. Revenant is actually one of my least used frames. Weird side note, people bring this up all the time. Like, they feel like they have to, prove their credentials for their opinion. And I just want to say, you don't have to do this. No one's going to preemptively accuse you of these things because you're not a YouTuber. I feel like if you state your opinion like this, you don't have to preemptively say things like this because it's just not getting enough eyes that it will actually matter. Anyways, the entire enjoyment I get from Warframe is finding loadouts that harmonize every piece together and feel good to use. Randomization throws every build I make out the window, and half the time I get garbage I don't even own because that piece of equipment just never interested me. And half the time you either get one really strong weapon and rely solely on that, or you're getting hard carried by your team because your weapons tickle whatever you're fighting. That's not difficulty. I'm not being challenged, I'm not having fun. I'm annoyed, and it's why I just don't touch Archimedia. I don't find it engaging to have one option just to survive, or to have to go put time and format into frames I don't like, just so I can play one or two game modes more comfortably. The new operation really made me feel this way when I remembered why I don't like Duviri to begin with. Oh yeah, and also, DE, can we at least have companions in Duviri? Okay, so let me say this. I agree with a lot of his opinion here. I do think that randomized loadouts, overall, lose one of the most important things about Warframe. That being synergy across items. That is lost when you take a randomized loadout. And that sucks. I completely agree that that sucks. I think that, I mentioned this earlier, I agree that you're not, like, the difficulty of this stuff isn't real. It's artificial, and it's more you're not being, like this guy says, I'm not being challenged. It's not that I'm not being challenged, or sorry, it's I'm not being challenged, I'm not having fun. That's, if they put a comma there, I feel like that would have, or like a semicolon, that would have made that easier to say. But I agree with that. I will say this. I do not think this problem applies to Duviri. And my reasoning for that is pretty simple. You have decrees. And in Duviri, if you get something that you don't have the ability to use, like in Archimedia, if you don't own something, you can't use it. You just don't have that option. In Duviri, you can take things for a test run. I think that's great. I think that having the ability to play things that you don't normally have in that kind of environment's really exciting. And if you get a Warframe that, you know, the default build's not great, you can build up decrees to give yourself a better experience. I don't think this problem applies to Duviri personally. The new game mode, because it's got the lone story restrictions, kind of is affected by it more. But I think that, overall, I guess, I don't think that Duviri has this problem nearly to the same extent. Alright, moving on. How long is this one? Not too bad. I wish existing objectives like capture, exterminate, rescue, etc. would get variants depending on how far into the star chart, similarly to how sabotage varies between planets and tile sets. Also, the game needs more difficult enemies that outright disrupt your usual game plan with abilities. I like nullifiers for being an enemy you have to actively target to avoid losing your powers, but there needs to be more than just avoid, bubble, and pop it quick. Same with Kuva Tricarians. So first part of this, I agree with, actually. I think that these game modes deserve to be more interesting, more tileset dependent maybe. Exterminate, okay, so Rescue kind of does this already, because there is tileset variation, but like Capture and Exterminate especially are pretty boring, especially as you progress. The second part, I'm not entirely on board with. We do have enemies that disrupt your game plan in terms of like Eximus units and stuff, and nullifiers I don't think are like an egregious enemy necessarily, but I think that like if we add a lot of enemies that disrupt your ability to cast your abilities, it would make the game ultimately less fun as opposed to less challenging, or as opposed to more challenging. Because casting your abilities is part of why you pick the Warframe. And we have quite a few enemies that do disrupt that game plan, right? Nullifiers, everything in this game mag procs you at this point for some reason. There's stuff that does that. And I will say as well, the Tricarian enemy, cool idea. If you play high level, like Cascade or something, they get really fucking old. If they were rarer, I would not have as many problems with them. But I think that, as it stands, holy shit, they're annoying sometimes. When you have like 3 of them, I want to blow my head off. Only invest in survival, not in actual utility. I think that's true. And yeah, the Oraxi fight does have nullification in it as well. It's avoidable, but damn, those Death Scuttlers are tanky as fuck. I'll move on. Cold and Toxin, not combined, meaning the individual statuses, are slept on and are both great. Completely agree. Toxin kind of got a heavy-handed nerf in Jade Shadows. It lost its 50% positive matchup to Corpus Flesh, which was a big nerf to Toxin. But overall, I actually totally agree with this. Cold especially. Cold is very, very good now. Down here. That was weird. I think a damage crunch would be good for the game. Without it, I don't see we can have a boss that lasts more than 3 seconds with either invulnerability phases or damage attenuation. This is a take I see quite a bit too, where the game should have its damage reduced across the board. This will never happen if you ask me. Pablo has actually talked about this once. He said that on the back end, they have actually unified all damage buffs to be additive instead of multiplicative, but he's never turning it on because he knows that it would cause so many problems. Like, a damage crunch, I think, would hurt the game for a lot of people more than it would help it. And I think that this kind of doesn't acknowledge, I guess, that invulnerability phases and damage attenuation are viable alternatives to this problem. I feel like having times where bosses can't be damaged or have reduction to damage is fine, personally. And I think that they're viable solutions as opposed to, like, new problems. So I feel like, would a damage crunch make the game harder or be healthier for it long term? That's a maybe from me, but I think it would hurt the game more than it would help it, because it would hurt it for so many people that it would remove a lot of the fun for a lot of people. Next up, I think that most early pre-New War boss fights need to be redesigned to have dialogue that tells you the boss gimmick, or make the hints more obvious for bosses with hints. That would make bosses like Krill and the Saturn boss feel like a boss instead of just spam attacks until something happens. Okay. I kind of agree with this. In terms of, like, you should have dialogue from the Lotus explaining the gimmick to you. I do agree with that. At the same time, I don't think that the gimmick is that hard to grasp on these bosses. Especially Ruck. Sargus Ruck is a giant glowing weak spot. I don't think he's that bad. But I do agree that, like, having something like that would be better. So, I feel like this is a take that I agree with, generally speaking. I don't think it's, like, dire, but I do think that it deserves to happen. And yeah, DE is slowly working their way through the bosses now, so I think that, you know, we're off to a good start. Arcwing 1.0, essentially tight, snappy, very responsive Zone of the Ender style control and gameplay, was hands down the best version they ever had, and despite multiple revamps, they never got it back to where it originally was. I would love to see them revisit some of the old missions or even throw together some new ones with everything that's been learned over the last decade. I disagree with this personally. I think that modern Arcwing is the best it's ever been. Arcwing 1.0 wasn't terrible. Arcwing's like 2.0, and I think there was a 3.0, did both suck, don't get me wrong. But I think that I would say the current iteration of Arcwing is probably the best. It's the most straightforward and intuitive, and I feel like it does what it needs to do. That's just my opinion. If you preferred it as it was, that's totally fine. But personally, I think it's at its best now. I agree with having more utilization, though. My hot take is that the Warframe community doesn't understand what a hot take is. Entirely true. My hot take is that every planet should have an open world space, but otherwise I think the open worlds are really fun and add so much characterization to the world of Warframe. I think that open worlds get too much hate and aren't nearly as unfun to grind as people say. People might hate me for this. I completely agree, actually. I totally agree that we should have gotten more open worlds that were just regular parts of the star chart, and I think that the community's reaction to Heart of Deimos is what killed this off forever. When Heart of Deimos came out, there are so much pushback from the community about it just being the same thing again, but like that wasn't a problem to me. And Heart of Deimos did mix it up. They changed how the fishing worked. They gave us, isolation vaults and like the underground content as a new way to mix things up. Like I think that like a lot of the issue was kind of overblown. And I personally like the open world formula. I would have loved to see open worlds on like Mars or Jupiter or, other places like that. But now it seems like if we get open worlds, it's stuff like Duviri, where they're so removed from the rest of the game that calling them an open world is like on a technicality. More content islands, open worlds aren't rewarding enough. I don't think that's the case these days. Like, not only do we have lots of stuff from open worlds that is worth getting, like all of the companion mods and things, but open worlds now can give you relic packs, which is a form of evergreen content. And I think that that's been a good approach. I think the best solution, though, would be add more arcanes. If we had, like, arcanes are a good focus for that kind of stuff. So I think that, like... And I will say as well, a take I see here quite a bit is that syndicates shouldn't be, added. Like, with, 1999 and the Zeraman, people were like, well, I was disappointed it was just another syndicate. And I hate to say this, that's just how the gameplay loop works. I hate to say that, but that's just kind of the reality of it. I think that the gameplay, like, syndicates are a fundamental system. If we released content without a syndicate, like, tied to it, the feeling of progression would be a lot more haphazard, I feel like. Are syndicates a great system? No. I hate the fact that you have limits. I hate the fact that you can only progress through them so much in a given day. All that stuff sucks. But I think that they're kind of just like a way that they add structure to those experiences. And I feel like it's one of those fundamental systems that tries to sort of put you on rails for that content, to make sure you don't play through it too fast. And I don't know, it's not a perfect system at all, but I feel like I don't know how they do anything without it, other than, like, it'd be nice for them to, like, make the caps higher and stuff, for sure. Next up, the game shouldn't be balanced around the 5 people that go to level cap, but health tanks need some love. I agree with the first part. The game shouldn't be balanced around level cap. At the same time, I think that player base does deserve to have their opinion heard by the developers, even if they're ultimately a niche part of the game. Health tanks need some love. Don't agree that much personally, and that's going to be considered a weird take, but like in my Is DR Dead video I talk about this. If you have a Warframe that's good at health tanking, you can survive all meaningful content just fine. Would I complain if health tanks got some love? No, but I think that we would have to approach it in a way that it wouldn't make low-level content too easy. So, like, if we added, like, if we changed scaling so that enemy damage fell off after, like, level 1000, so that it didn't scale as harshly, then I think that would be a good approach, for example. But I think if we buff health tanking too much, sort of, like, on the front end of it, like, front-load it, it'll make the early game too easy, and that could cause problems. I like playing as Irelia without Loyal Marilena. Completely agree. To me, the jank is the fun. Like, the jank is the experience. I don't like Loyal Marilena because it takes away the jank, and that's what I find fun about Irelia. So, this is entirely a, personal opinion thing, I think. Next up, how long is this? Okay. The new player experience is fine. Creators who give advice to new players that encourage them to rush through the early game to get to the good part are causing more problems than they are solving. New players don't need to know what galvanized mods are, and they definitely shouldn't get the idea that anything easier than an Archon hunt is the tutorial. To hear some people say it, Warframe has no endgame, a 300-hour tutorial, and 45 minutes of solid gameplay. I agree with this from the perspective of being told to rush through the early game is bad, and you should take your time. The new player experience is fine? No, don't agree with that, and I've made my opinions on that known before. It has things that deserve to be improved, and they do that in every update. We get a lot of new player improvements every update. I do not think, though, that or I do not disagree with the point that people pushing you into the end game makes the game less fun. Take your time. I completely recommend that. I feel like when I played the game on Xbox in 2014, as a kid, I rushed through the game and it hurt my experience a lot. I had way more fun when I came back to the game on PC in 2016 and took my time. And I would recommend that for anyone who, is newer to the game, absolutely. Next up, I think the slow game modes are fun. I like the main Warframe playstyle with bullet jumping and all, but I think the low movement game modes like the Call, Viso, and Drifter segments of the new War and Deviri are good too, and I wish there were more, although for Deviri the combat feels kinda bad, especially early on. Also, why did they remove the Archon shards from the Veilbreaker shop? They were the only reason to play that game mode, but now players just play through it 12 times, see all the rewards from the shop, and never touch it again. I also like the PvP/Conclave, in which they did more with it. Maybe even make a low movement game mode where all players are on semi-equal ground and wasn't dependent on mods. So I need to take a drink, I've been reading this shit so much. Let me break this down. First one. Slower game modes. I kind of agree. They can be fun, but the parkour is a big part of what makes the game fun to me. So, like, Call, Viso, and Drifter segments. For Call and Viso, early on, they were fine. I think they got boring. Drifter has the variety to upkeep, though, personally, for me. Next up, why did they remove the Archon shards from the Veilbreaker shop? I agree that was a bad decision. It just made Call missions not worth doing anymore. I liked PvP/Conclave, in which they did more with it. I think that having Battlefront-style Grineer versus Corpus PvP would be awesome and super fun. There's no demand for it in the game, though. That's the thing. People who play Warframe don't really seem to want PvP. It's not a very, in-demand thing. So it would be really cool, but I just don't think the money is there for them to do it. That's probably the primary reason it's not happening. Wave Rider is a good quest. Based? Okay, real talk, I don't think Wave Rider is a good quest, but it's not nearly as hard as people think it is. People complain about it to an unreasonable extent. It's not that bad. All open worlds need an update. I don't even know how to engage with this because they left no additional context. So... I don't know, I have no opinion on this because they left me nothing to work with. People way overestimate how much survivability or damage is needed for the average player. 99.9999% of us are not running level cap Deep Archimedia, nor do we have to do 17 times the enemy's health to kill them. About half of your mods could be utility and still work. This is true, actually. If you want my opinion, this is true. Warframe, like YouTubers and higher level players, put a lot of emphasis on strategies that aren't necessary. And I agree with this. You really don't need as much as you think you do a lot of the time. And yes, people do complain about Wave Rider. When it was new especially, people bitched that it was too hard. And to that I say, if you don't like doing the K-Drive stuff for Wave Rider, you're not gonna like the K-Drive frame. Like, what? Anyways, damage attenuation, as it is right now, is fine. It has become the only way for DE to make an interesting boss with unique mechanics and animations without the player just walking in, killing the boss in 0.2 seconds, and extracting. It forces people to take their time to do the boss, making them actually feel like they need to fight a boss, instead of just another mission of like the Sergeant assassination, or a dentist waiting room like Ambulance. Talked about this kind of earlier. I agree that damage attenuation is a necessary evil. Is it fine as is? No, I think it's overly spammed. I don't think that it's something that needs to be removed, though. I agree with that. If our damage gets halved across the board, we'd actually be able to enjoy fights. We'd still deal too much damage. Just point blank, we'd still deal too much damage. I don't think that just reducing damage is the solution. Next up, Warframe has an insanely toxic community. People just don't like to talk about it. I actually agree with this. It only comes out when things are controversial, but it's true. Now, I will say this. Insanely toxic? Not really. It has its toxic side. And when it comes out, this community fucking sucks. But I think that they're generally a fine place. They can be super toxic, and they're more toxic than people give them credit for. But this isn't like the Halo community. Have you seen the shit that goes on in the Halo community, dude? Halo fans cannot bear the thought that people like Halo. It's so fucking weird. The Valkyr talk, yeah. The Valkyr talk, Dante nerf, when, like, Angels of the Zeramin, when stuff like that happens, the community fucking sucks. But they're kind of ambient their ambient toxicity isn't that bad. Rivens are a good endgame system. They offer a significant power boost to every weapon they can apply to and give an actual reason for veteran players that are not content creators to continue playing the game. Yes, a time and resource sink is important, and it is the only endgame that exists in the game. Do I think Rivens could be a good endgame system? Yes. Do I think they are a good endgame system? No, absolutely not. And the reasoning for that is pretty simple. It's entirely RNG. Like, could this be... Dude, this guy got ratioed, holy shit. Could this be a good system? Yes. This could be a good system for chasing power. If you had a way to manipulate the stats. Like, if you could manipulate what weapon you got it for, if you could lock stats so rerolls wouldn't get rid of them, if you could increase the potency of stats that weren't their full effectiveness, there are ways to make this better. But in its current state, no, the pure randomness is not good endgame. You can literally reroll a Riven 10,000 times and never get the thing you want. So I would agree that it could be a great endgame if they made changes to the system, but it's not a current endgame that's good, and I don't think they ever will change it because it's so profitable to have Rivens that are insanely expensive due to the layers of RNG. Last thing, this as well, only endgame that exists? No, it's not. Just point blank. Like, this is a Warframe opinion that I absolutely despise. There is endgame in Warframe. I don't care if you don't like it, there is endgame in Warframe. That's Archimedia. Archimedia is Warframe's endgame. You know what else is considered endgame by the developers? Things like Archon Hunts and Netracells, and like Steel Path Circuit. Those are endgame activities. You don't have to like them, but I feel like the way the developers position them, that's the endgame. If you don't think it's hard enough, or if you don't think it's good, that's totally fine, but that's how they position it. Those are the endgame activities. But people, and yeah, I agree with Red on this, actually. People parrot this opinion from 5 or 10 years ago, that there's no endgame, and I just don't think it's true anymore. Next up, sprint speed is the real endgame. I don't even think I have to talk about this. That's based. I'm all for being efficient, but just because something doesn't instantly map, wipe, or do millions doesn't mean it's bad. These meta hounds are killing the game because they're pushing to keep releasing content that focuses around countering the damage meta, and it's killing build variety. Kind of agree with this one, but I think that, like, in a weird way, people who play to the meta they're the scapegoat of the community, right? They're the community scapegoat. People who play to the meta are the scapegoat for this game's problems, and I think that's shitty. If you play the meta, that's fine. If you want to play efficiently, that's fine. You can play the game however you want. And I also think that, like, DE is releasing content that counters the damage meta. Kind of. Because we do have things like the Dedicants and Legocytes and stuff like that, but there's plenty of content that doesn't really play into the damage meta, like Alchemy, for example, doesn't really interact with it at all. So I feel like this is partially true, I guess, but I feel like it kind of scapegoats people who do play to the meta, and I think that's just kind of, I don't know, kind of scapegoaty. The thing is, almost all endgame content is just kill more, kill faster. I don't entirely, like, that's true that a lot of it does revolve around that, but I don't think that's exclusively how it functions. For people because they didn't care. Pablo said on Twitter that their research showed that the only thing that might trigger arachnophobia with people from what they were aware of was the movement of Araxia and the Scuttlers, and they were open to future options. I haven't heard anything since that Pablo tweet, though. Not necessarily an influence nerf. That's a hot take I completely disagree with, to be honest with you. Influence is overpowered. I don't know how else to slice it. A 20-meter AoE under melee weapon is broken as shit. I think that having more arcanes on the level of influence would just make the problem worse. I think that it does deserve a nerf. Straight up, just make it line of sight dependent, reduce its range to 10 meters. Still would probably be the best arcane in the entire game. Wouldn't be an immediate slot. That's my personal opinion. It is insanely overpowered. Ribbon disposition should be 5/5 for every weapon. Don't agree. Reason for that is pretty simple. Certain weapons are better than others, and the point of Ribbons was to have a way to buff bad weapons. I will agree this kind of got thrown out the window with the Incarnins, but I think that having everything be a 5 ribbon disposition would just make the top weapons even better, which kind of sucks. Arcwing missions are fun. I love the mobile defense on Neptune. That's entirely, I think, an opinion-based, a feel-based thing. I don't think that they're that fun, but I'm glad this person enjoys them. I guess that's all I really have to say about that. From Lena, people are taking the game too seriously these days. I agree, actually. It's just a video game, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that, I guess. I just think that's a fair opinion. The Warframe community is mostly fine, except for when DE nerf shit, then they turn into annoying crybabies, even when the nerf is completely justified. 1,000,000% disagree. Or 1,000,000% agree, sorry. I'm getting the wires crossed. Let me make my stance clear again. I completely agree. This person is just right. I don't care what anyone says. This person is just correct. And then follow-up, bigger hot take, I don't like the helmet that paves over a Warframe's weaknesses and mucks about with their identity, even if it can result in interesting builds. Don't agree with that, personally. I think that the helmet is a good system overall, because it allows interesting builds that wouldn't be possible otherwise. So, like, take, for example, Rowan is a mag main that came up with this really cool build for mag involving pyrotechnics, the temple ability. What Rowan discovered is when an enemy is ragdolled from pull, all of their body parts can be hit by the same attack at the same time. So if you combine that with pyrotechnics, they can get hit by it like 6 times per flame pillar instantly. That kind of build is not possible without the helmet. And there's lots of builds in this game like that. Like, sure, you can slap Nourish on everything and call it a day. But the helmet has, I think, done more good than damage. There's so many interesting builds with the helmet that would not be possible without it, and I think it improved the game overall. DE should improve Warframe's narrative by bringing back some old events with crucial lore content as quests, like Alad's lore, Scarlet Spear, and Orphic's Venom. I don't think this is a hot take. I think most people would agree with this. I think that the main issue, really, is I just don't think the developers care enough. I would love it to be, like, at least codex entries, for sure. Quests optimal, but codex at least, for sure. Frost might legitimately be top 3 frame of all time as he stands. That's kind of an interesting take. Do I think Frost is really good? Yes. Do I think he is broken good? No, not personally. He is up there. He's incredibly strong nowadays, but I don't think that he is top 3. That's, I feel like, pretty generous. Vazarin is objectively the best focus school, and it's not even close. Not the best in every situation, but for 90% of content. And when it is the best, the other schools aren't even close to as good. Okay, this is a minor thing. People who say objectively and then state their opinion makes me irrationally angry. I don't know what else to say about that. I just think it's stupid. Objectively has become the new literally, and it pisses me off. If you're gonna say objectively, say something objective, please. Anyways, I don't agree with this personally, because focus schools have specific niches and are better or worse on different warframes. Is Vazarin incredibly good? Yes. Is it the best in 90% of content? That depends on how you play the game. There is no objectivity in this statement. If you like Vazarin, if it works well for you, that's great. I think it's really strong. I use it on several of my loadouts. Doesn't change the fact that I think that saying it is objectively the best in 90% of content is kind of exaggerating it. I want more endless mission variety and maybe an Ascension game with an actual fail state. Endless mission variety has been on the rise. We get a new endless mission at every major update nowadays. Alchemy, Legasite Harvest. All 3 of the new Zeramin game modes were endless missions. I think that we're still getting plenty. I would like to see more of them available in the pool for Omnia Fishers, for sure. But I don't think this is a thing that the developers are not working on, right? They are giving us more variety. Ascension ammo with an actual fail state? Actually, I have the opposite opinion. I don't think missions should have fail states like Defense does, for example. I think Ascension did it really well. If you fail, you're punished by the mission taking longer, not losing all of your rewards. I think that sucks. I think that having a fail condition where you have to wait is a much better approach. and I think that that's how they should handle it. So that, for me, I'm personally the opposite on. They should have made Jade's belly bigger. I feel like this is someone's fetish. So I'm just going to go with disagree, and we're going to move on. Wisp is the most overrated frame, and it's not close. Completely disagree, personally. Is Wisp overrated? Yes, I think Revenant is the most overrated. Moving on. Here's several, probably lukewarm at best. I liked Railjack at launch. Was it the greatest? No, but it was kind of fun. We've kind of addressed this. Wisp is super overrated and popular only due to fan service. Overrated, yes. Only popular due to fan service. Very shallow take. Wisp is fun, if you want my opinion. Only popular due to fan service is very shallow and not really engaging with why people like Wisp. You can think she's overrated. And now, honestly, like, real talk, she's not overrated anymore. Like, now that I think about this, I don't think people have considered her a top tier in years. Like, Wisp was considered a top tier. Do people consider her a top tier still? I don't hear people talk about her like that anymore at all. She's still really good. She has, like, a lot of really powerful stuff, like on-demand invincibility. I think she's still a very good Warframe. But do people still talk about her like she's the best in the game? I don't feel like I hear that anymore. This post lives in 2020. Kind of. The game is more enjoyable when stop trying to speedrun every mission. Yes, I'm including pub fishers. I agree with this, but pub fishers, dude, you can't stop people from trying to play the game efficiently. That's just how the game is, right? People want to play the game efficiently because they want to get stuff done. So I don't think you can stop them from doing that, really. Min-maxing kills any fun in the game because you stop looking at the game and look only at numbers. That depends on the person. For some people, that is the fun. Maximizing the number is the fun for some people. If it's not fun for you, that's totally fine, but it is the fun for some people. Older operations should be brought back into small bite-sized side quests. I've already kind of talked about that. We've been going on for long enough. I think this is probably going to be my last hot take. I'm sorry if I didn't get to anything that people that are here posted. But I feel like this has gone on for long enough that maybe I should not keep going. Nerfs are fun. The game is already too easy. That depends on the nerf. Certain nerfs, I think, can be fun. For example, Valkyrie losing her invincibility. I think she's more fun without it. Straight up, I think she's more fun without her invincibility. Now, there are some nerfs that just suck and aren't fun. Like, when Dante lost the status vulnerability on his birds, that like, of all the... No matter how justified Dante's nerf was, losing the status damage of his birds wasn't fun. It felt heavy-handed. His birds weren't even part of the problem. So I think that, like, it depends on the nerf, for sure. Yeah, the removal of Flying Axe was also just anti-fun. He still has it. Now, they gave him his status damage back, based on community feedback. He did get it back, but he did initially lose it. Free Cromer, thank you for the 2 P9, I appreciate it. Also, hot take Void Sling was a nerf. That's not a hot take at all. People still shit on Void Sling to this day. Shit, I kind of want to keep going, but I feel like I shouldn't. This has been going on for almost 2 fucking hours. Fuck it. Prime Sure-Footed isn't a skill issue mod. This may seem like it's a hot take because Warframe creators love Prime Sure-Footed, but I've seen a lot of people saying it's a useless mod or just roll, bro. To those people, all I say is talk to me when you're not playing status immune frames and, solo content above level 1000. I kind of agree. I think a big issue in modern Warframe is that they're designing content around the existence of Prime Sure-Footed. Prime Sure-Footed is so dominant because they keep making shit that encourages you to use it, like knockdowns and boss fights and stuff like that. I feel like Prime Sure-Footed is so dominant largely because knockdowns are annoying. Removing that mechanic from the game makes it smoother to play. There's a bunch of content in the game that will knock you down constantly, and it's difficult. Like, it's just another thing you don't have to think about if you just throw on the mod. I don't personally use Prime Sure-Footed. I normally have been able to get around it. Like, I get my ass knocked down pretty often. But I feel like a lot of it I've kind of learned to live with. But having a mod that just removes an annoying mechanic, and it's in an Exilus slot there's not that much else you'd put there, like, fuck it. Yeah, I see why it's so popular. All right, next up, I think proto-frames are just a little too much. I get they fit with the whole 1999 thing and definitely make DE a lot of money, but it's never not going to be jarring for me seeing humans running around instead of biomechanical war machines. It's not like I don't like them lore-wise, but purely based on looks, I'm never going to get used to it. Completely valid opinion, and one that came up a lot. Not even just from looks, but from the lore perspective as well. A lot of people don't like the proto-frames. I do think that's a hot take, because a lot of people do like the proto-frames more than not, but I think that this is one of the ones where, like, you're valid if you hold this opinion, but I don't know, I don't have much to say, but I like the proto-frames personally, but I feel like it's completely valid if you think that way. Not quite a hot take, more just playing devil's advocate against the randomness as difficulty stuff. EDA/if you're making you use random weapons and frames makes sense. It's asking you to show you know how to use weapons in question, and you didn't just level them up as mastery fodder to never be used again. Anyone can use meta builds, but asking you to complete a mission using, for example, Mirage, Zooge, Akfierce, and Dark Split Sword is asking you to prove that you have truly mastered those things, you understand how they work, and you can make them work together. I don't agree with this argument for one major reason. Not everything is equally viable. Having purely random... Like, Duviri has decreased to offset this. This doesn't apply to Duviri. For Archimedia, there is this assumption, if this randomness works, that everything is equally viable, and that is just not true. So, like, if you have every weapon, that doesn't mean that the Ak Lotto is just as viable as an Incarnon Lotto Vandal. That's just not true. There are some weapons in this game that are just worse than others. That's just the reality of it. And the random elements of those game modes assumes they are all equally viable. There have been plenty of times, I imagine, for a lot of us, that you're in an Archimedia and you only have one weapon that you can use. The only weapon you're using that entire run. Like, it's not trying to prove that you have mastered and can use all of the options in your loadout. You're crutching on the strongest thing you have, because the other stuff isn't as good. Just from a statistical standpoint, it's not as good. So I feel like I said, for me, I think that weighted randomness would be the better approach to that game mode. Power Nullify is stupid, and if you really want to keep it in the game, it should have to build up rather than an immediate effect. Try to use Valkyrie to beat any of the secret boss fights, and you'll see how half her kit is rendered useless. I will also forever be against changing her Talon's heal amount from percentage to static. You're better off using Haruto for sustain if you got Power Nullify in any way currently. So, two things. One, Power Nullification I think is fine if handled correctly. Some enemies, like Violence, fucking suck, and I think that AoE shut your shit off is not fun. But, like, the secret bosses, all of their attacks that nullify you are telegraphed and avoidable. Every single one is telegraphed and avoidable. If you get hit by it, generally speaking, it's because you weren't paying attention. I have one major exception to that. The slime in the tank boss fight can fuck right off. The slime nullifying you is AIDS. I hate that shit. The first phase of the Apex tank sucks ass, and I wish it didn't work like that. Otherwise, though, all of their attacks are telegraphed and avoidable. Personally, I don't see the problem with it. Of course, you don't have to like the mechanic, but I don't personally think it's that big of an issue in those environments. Changing the Talon's heal amount from percentage to static, I agree that it kind of sucks, but I also feel like it's not the end of the world. Like, you can get your health back so fast still that I haven't noticed that much of a practical impact on my gameplay. Next up, the old, slower-paced 2013 to 14 era of Warframe was the best era. Enemies could take a lot more hits, they hit a lot harder, the gameplay loop was much more methodical and slower-paced, and in general, it was a better experience than today's hyperactive genocide simulator that DE has turned modern Warframe into. I feel like this is a preference thing. Personally, I like it more now than it used to be. I know some people preferred when it was slower. Here's my opinion on that. You can still play the game that way. If you want to, you can still play the game that way. The game doesn't incentivize you to do it anymore, but you still can, and I personally prefer it as it is now. And also, yeah, secret bosses are optional, not good metrics for how good a frame is. That's completely true. Also, for the Warframe's attacks, and it renders them unavoidable in the second arena. I felt that way at first, but after I got the hang of it, they're mostly avoidable. He has some bullshit. Like, if he makes every single area in the arena except the center platform unavoidable and then teleports to it, that's kind of bullshit. But, like, typically, like, his lightning cast, you'll have one safe spot of the arena, or you can wall bounce. His laser is one that he telegraphs, and if you make sure you're never on the same elevation as Vor, you can avoid it. His lightning balls can be shot to destroy them. All of his attacks in a second phase are avoidable, but they're just really fast. For an extra hour, you know what, fuck it, we'll hit 2 hours. We'll hit the 2-hour mark, 8 more minutes of hot takes, and then I'll switch to playing the actual game. This has been quite a fucking weird stream. Alright, next up, we need 6 months dev time on non-combat quality of life for stuff like decoration, interface, lighting, and general spaghetti code backend cooking. This will never happen. I think that, like I said earlier, they're working this stuff into updates. Like, they did a big Captura overhaul recently. This won't happen because it's not marketable, it's not profitable. I feel like, would it be good for the game? I mean, sure, but it would be boring for most people to not have new content to do. And, beyond that as well, like, I don't know, most people wouldn't care if they did something like that, and working it into updates is probably the better approach, to keep new stuff and, you know, bringing old stuff into the modern era. Marilena is fun to ride despite being buggy in some tile sets, and DE, please lower it 10 centimeters to the ground. I agree with this. I think that even despite it being frustrating at times, Marilena is Urelli to me. A lot of ice-cold takes in the comments. This is true. Just because a weapon is good doesn't mean it's fun. Completely agree. I don't think Torrid is fun at all, despite being incredibly powerful, because it's boring. Probably not the craziest take, however, DE should totally go back and revise some older deprecated content, especially some of the older jank cutscenes pre-New War. Coming from a 3D artist perspective, the quality of older and newer frames is night and day, and I would love to see some remastered models. Not really a hot take, but I do think the interesting part for this to me is the remastered models. The older Warframes are just lower quality models than newer ones. They have like lower poly counts, lower texture resolution, stuff like that. So I think that the like updating the models would be fine, but I think what their solution to that, real talk, let me level with you all here. The solution that DE employs is to make skins that do have the high poly counts and the texture resolution. It kind of sucks, but I think that's the reality. They make skins, and that's how they do it. So that's their solution to the problem, I guess. Vauban is fine as is, y'all just suck. I actually generally agree with this. Vauban is quite strong. Viral should be 100% damage at 10 stacks instead of 1. I could see that, but I think that the problem these days is, again, like, taking power away from players never goes over well, and wouldn't fix the problem necessarily. I think that we've gotten a lot of stuff that's more competitive with Viral nowadays. Like, Blast especially is very competitive with Viral. But I think that, like, nerfing Viral is not necessary to me. It wouldn't fix anything, if you want my honest opinion. I could see it getting nerfed one day, but I think that, like, the approach of making certain status effects more competitive with it, like Blast, is probably the way to go. The devs have to like players' fashion frame, even if it's absolutely terrible. Completely agree. Completely agree. If you look at the community-linked fashions, a lot of them fucking suck. I'm sorry, a lot of them aren't very good. But the developers seem to be more than fine to assault my eyes with it. Not a fan. Boss damage attenuation, especially on the steel path, needs to be reworked. I feel forced to take the Fenmore every time because the other weapons just don't work. Solely because of that, I despise boss battles and I'm avoiding them like fire. That's also the only reason I do not enjoy the current operation. Also, I'm worried about the future of Warframe updates. I feel like we got a little carried over with the whole 1999 stuff. I'm not implying the update is bad. I just want more core sci-fi Warframe content. Okay, 2 things here. I agree with the second part. Not being worried about the future, I wish we got more core sci-fi stuff. I do agree with that entirely. The first part, though, what bosses are you struggling with? A lot of the Steel Path bosses, I don't feel like this is a problem for. The super bosses, yes, but I think you should kind of expect you need the best gear to beat the hardest bosses. A lot of them, though, I don't think they're not that difficult, Steel Path, in my opinion, so I wish I would have gotten some further elaboration. Zelloid actually did get turbo nerfed recently. Apparently, Steel Path modifiers were applying to it twice, and it was scaling too aggressively in squads. Zelloid does suck, don't get me wrong, Zelloid does suck, but I don't think it's as oppressive anymore. Still, annoying-ass boss fight for sure. DE should do a full revision of all text related to builds and powers, with an eye towards PoE's text description. In particular, the increase, more, reduced, and less are all sorely missed. Text descriptions in a game like this should be easier, or should be precise and complete. While this would not change things for experienced players, it would help newer players understand how the game works. Not really a hot take if you ask me, but completely agree. They've made some changes towards this, like making the Bane mods show a multiplier instead of the percentage, like with additive mods. And they've been doing tooltips for like status damage, overguard, stuff like that. But I agree that they should push this harder, make it clearer what things do specifically. Because like on the surface, Eclipse and Vex Armor look like the same buff. They look like the same buff. They're both percentages. So you'd think Vex Armor is better, but it's not, because it's additive. When the buff from Eclipse is multiplicative, so it's the better buff, despite the fact that you would assume that Vex Armor is better. So yeah, I agree with that. Varuna should have 50 more base energy. Interesting take. I don't really know what spawned this, but okay, I don't really have any strong opinion there. While I appreciate the mini rework, Ash getting infinite invisibility changed nothing. I feel like that's a really reductive view of his rework, honestly. They built in his 3 augment, his 4 got massively buffed. Like, his longer invisibility duration, I think, was one of the less important parts of his rework. I feel like it's a little reductive to view it that way. Melee influence killed melee at large. I don't really agree for one major reason. If you don't like influence, don't use it. I do think it's overpowered. I do think it's disruptive to other players' experience. But if you don't like it on your melee builds, just don't take it. I still think it deserves a nerf because it's disruptive to other players, but you don't have to use it. I think at this point, I've gotten through most of these, or most of this that I would want to read, I guess. There's still a lot here, and you're welcome to go read the post yourself if you want. Wait, it got nerfed? I don't think that... No, influence has not gotten nerfed. I think it deserves to get nerfed. It has not gotten nerfed. It deserves to get nerfed. And we have to keep on reading. Look, my throat hurts from how much I've been talking. I've been doing this for 2 hours. How far down are we? We're pretty far down. We've gotten through a lot of these. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your hot take. We got... Yeah, like, look at this. We read through quite a few. I feel like there's definitely more to talk about, for sure. But I don't know if I have it in me. The viewership will fall off the face of the earth when I stop doing this, I imagine. Maybe we can do this more often. I mean, let me know if you want to see this more frequently, as like, you know, during like a stream, we talk about this stuff. Might be fun, but I think I've got most of my thoughts out of the way. So to that end, real quick, is the slideshow done? Yeah, it actually did finish. Shit, it went on for so long it finished. Here, you all can watch the slideshow for a little bit. I am going to go grab a drink. I will be back in a minute. Okay, thank you all for your patience. I see that the chat is up to its nonsense with being quiet whenever I'm gone. But so like I said, I think maybe we'll do this more often. Maybe like in future streams we can read more hot takes. But I feel like I've done so many that I kind of want to move on. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to move on. Where is the button in modern OBS for studio mode? Here it is. This should allow me to just... Yeah, there we go. Where is my overlay for this? Yeah, here we go. Okay. We laugh at Overframe too. Look, laughing at Overframe is fun. What do you want to say about Warframe right now? Less negativity? I could see that for sure. Oh, I've gotten multiple in-game DMs and I didn't realize it because I have, Thank you to Kaz and Bayrot for the D&D check. I kind of forgot. I did not mean to mute the tab. I wanted to close it. Okay. Like I said, I expect my my viewership probably fall off the face of the planet for this, but you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Can we look at Overframe? We could, but I feel like this isn't just our ambient anymore. What game is this? The R ambient thing? No, not the second half of the slideshow contains plenty of stuff that's not ambient. Do you have any recent Warframe hot takes? I think my biggest Warframe hot take, for sure, is my suggestion that defense should be a time-based game mode instead of a killing-based game mode. A lot of people disagree with that opinion. I still stand by it. I think that it would improve the variety of gameplay that works in that environment. But to that end, I think that if we were to make it less boring, we should make it so that killing Eximus units reduces the timer, or introduce a mini-boss mechanic more universally so that we can reduce the timer. I think that would be a good way to balance it out. But I think that time defense would make it more compatible with more play styles. Thank you for the $2 from National Security Agency. Belly button. I don't know how to interpret that, but okay. And, fucking hell. Anyways. Oh, what did I get from the Barrow Gambling? I got 2 Forma. Nothing that great. You can grab the fragment. I could. I do have 1 left in there. How's your amp doing? It's doing well. You know, I appreciate that some people still ask. And the timer ticks down. I mean, say that a wave of defense will be I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes, and then you hit a reward rotation. So that defending the objective is more of the focus, and then having a mini-boss or something that can help reduce the timer if you want to play into the damage route. Plenty of people disagree with that. That's totally fine. I know it's not a popular opinion. That's just what I think. Oh, right, I have more conversations. Should I do these on stream? These are kind of spoilery. I don't know if I should do these live. Because I feel like, you know, I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna go with I'm not gonna do them. I think that I don't wanna spoil these things for people. I still haven't done Day Trader. Not a very big fan. Not a frame to use it with? Damn. They did say, fortunately, in the patch notes, that, the Signa has a 5% chance, and every time you don't get it, your chance goes up by 4%. So there's that. There's bad luck protection, fortunately. But, which food? That's an interesting request. Cosmetics on Eidolon Steel Path. That could be cool to have some reward for doing a Steel Path Tridolon. I don't know why it exists. Completely agree. 40 weeks. Yeah, it could take you up to a year. What Signa? There's the Barrow Katir Signa. They added it from his, a void stock thing. A best iteration of the mission. I agree with that, actually. I do have this Lich to knock out still. We can do a little bit of that, and we can just kind of... Here's what I think we'll do, right? I'll go ahead and work on this, and instead of reading the hot takes from the community post, we can have a dialogue with the chat. You know, what are people feeling? The Isle Weaver run. I've played enough of it lately that I'm a little bit burnt out at the moment, to be honest with you.
There is a large platoon of
You betrayed the Wellspring Reflex. Oh shit, is LU here? Is LU still here? I hope they didn't see that. I really hope they didn't see that. The Void Angel was right there. True. What's your cold take? Revenant should have more survivability. All right, I feel like I need to slow myself down. I naturally talk really fast. I think there's a difference between having a hot take, which is a take that you genuinely believe, even if it's unpopular, and rage baiting or being deliberately contrarian, right? Okay. Also, side note, while I'm here, this is such a good tile set. I think Ceres is so cool, like with the whole like Grenier shipyard thing that they've got going on, with all of the like pollution and acid rain and all of the like scrapping stuff that they're doing. I think this place is really cool. Used to be an endgame location back in the day, before Star Chart overhaul in update, what was it, 15.6 or something? Wisp should have less cake. You know, I feel like you could be serious about that. It is possible, especially if you're like a gay guy. We need more twinks. All right, the chat's hot takes appear to be getting very horny very quickly. Maybe I shouldn't have opened this door. Maybe chat should not be allowed to have hot takes. Should use unique arcane instead of valence fusion. I feel like that would kind of limit the options for the rest of the game, though. You know, I think the valence system is fine, personally. When Warframe? You know, that's a good question, actually. I was trying to think of an example to counter you with. I can't think of one. Are there any Warframes that you would consider a bear archetype? A bearish archetype? Okay, you know what? Hold on. I have an idea for an awful stream bit. Let me finish this mission. B, this is your fault. You gave me a horrible idea. You were about to experience the consequences of this. Also, bailiffs becoming mini-bosses is really cool. Anyways, horrible stream idea. Horrible stream idea. I need to wrap this up quick. Bears in muscular man, or is in bear catching fish? I'm thinking they mean muscular man. That seems contextually relevant.
well done. Now get to extraction.
Oh, goddammit, I stuck to the fucking wall. Trying to use the web zip in tile sets like this is a fucking nightmare sometimes. Okay, I have to find the chart. Hold on.
One way or the other.
Where is the chart? Yes, the bear twink hunk chart. I have to find this image. I have to find this image. I can't find... Like, there's so many of these that are just, like, like they contain stuff. I don't need stuff. I don't need things in this, okay? We're shitposting Batman. Alright, everyone. I'm sorry. I'm blaming this on B. This is B's fault for giving me this idea. We have something important to do. We have something very important to do. We have to find out where the Warframes go on this chart. We have to. This is the bad idea I've been given. Where do the Warframes fall on this chart? No. I knew it. The Sandy Loam chart. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not wasting time on this. I just thought it would be funny. I'm not actually going to do it. I can't feed the chat's incessant horniness. I'm sorry. You people scare me enough. Clickbait? What do you mean clickbait? How is that clickbait? It's too late now.
You are here
It was like a 5-hour activity. It might. I did it again. I fucking did it again, dude. I'm such a Zeneric cuck. It's hopeless. It's actually hopeless. More of a Sabuchi video anyways. True. I'll just ask Sabuchi to make it. Be like, hey, Sab, people in my chat had an idea for a video you could make. Someone please donate $100? No. Look, there is absolutely a price on me doing that stream bit. It is not one I expect anyone to pay, and not one that I think anyone should pay. Let me put it that way. Fetish frame video. I did make that joke with sci-fi too, actually, about the each Warframe's theme is actually a fetish, and we had to find out which ones they were. But I don't think I'll ever do something like that either. It's just very outside of my normal content. Weaponizing horniness. Unreal. Yeah, people were talking like my stream is like an OnlyFans. Like I'm an OnlyFans model. Calm down. It's not that serious. By other sounds. I actually think that's totally fair. A lot of Warframe noises these days are weirdly loud. Dante's a great example. He is really weirdly loud. You gotta get on Sab's writing team. Honestly, I should do another stream with Sab. The last one we did was, I think, Dripper Round 3? I think that, you know, I should have Sab on again sometime. I'll have to talk to him about that, though. I could be on Sab's stream, maybe, too. I guess we'll figure something out. God, she's so loud. Yeah, that's totally fair. Stream with Sab is too raunchy. I mean, maybe. Holy shit, Among Us. That clip is fucking hilarious from Dripper Drum. Just holy shit, Among Us. The way his mic cuts off is so fucking funny.
A little treat from my little meat.
Why did I have to get a little meat, Kuvalich? I hate this motherfucker. The game more to their likings? Yeah. I think it might be good to have some more individual... Then again, I don't look at like an every single frame slider, but... Coward, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want the little meat Kuvalich. The only person who's allowed to call me little meat is Nitro, not anyone else. What have we cuddled for warmth? That is another thing in the, in that stream of the Cool Kid X Sabuchi fanfiction. Among Us or not. You said we would at some point. We did do that for Duviri's release, I think it was. One of the update releases we did flood a relay. But maybe we should do it again, now that you mention it. Maybe we should do it again. Are you a big fruit? Lame Adult 428 doesn't even know the Cool Kid lore. That's actually downright disrespectful. The answer is yes, but that's besides the point. Do it on TennoCon? We could do that, actually. Red Harrow. I guess I guess you did mention specifically the Among Us. I guess we didn't have any particular requirements for that one. I'm doing too much damage. I have my own lore, I need not know yours. Your existence is merely a cruel parody of mine. You have no identity outside of your relationship to me, lame adult. Your lore is my lore. You don't exist without me. You're but a reflection of the concept of Cool Kid 369. I got too... I was waxing too poetic, and I got myself killed. Anyways. It's fine, it's fine. Low tier kid. It's true, though. It's true. What just happened? Damn! It is you that is the copy. Technically, we're both the copy. And the original. I'm webbing all over the scuts. Please do not say that. Please don't say that. I don't even know what the... Well, shit, that was... Dude, I can't stay in my fucking spider form. I just can't do it. Low tier kid. It will never be as good. I feel where you're coming from there, Blueprint. Not with art, but with a lot of other things. Like, for me, I feel like talking about this on stream kind of sucks, because people will either, like... I feel like people kind of miss the point of why I do it, but I don't think I'm a good Warframe content creator, like at all. People disagree with that, that's fine, but I don't think that I make good videos. Like, whenever I watch videos from people who actually are good, like Kai or Nova Umbral, or people that make good videos, I'm just like, damn, why do I even fucking make things? Like, this shit is so much worse in comparison. And I feel like whenever I say that on stream, people will either, like, one, accuse me of, like, compliment, like, fishing, or will just kind of vehemently disagree. And it's like, I don't know. You can't change my mind on this, unfortunately. I appreciate those of you who like my videos. I don't get why people like my videos, but, I mean, I appreciate those who are willing to support me, especially monetarily. Those who have donated and do, like, their memberships and stuff means a lot. But, damn, my content, I just don't think is very good. I think a lot of it is knowing how the sausage is made, though. That, like, a lot of things just feel less impressive because I know how they work.
Everyone pays in my playground. One way
Compared to
or
Kai and Nova. That's true, but I'm talking production value. Production value-wise. The Banger Venus video. We're not going to talk about the fate of the Venus video. Doing a celebration stream right now. Damn, he's probably siphoning off my viewer base. Damn it, Kai. He's stealing all my viewers. This is fucked up. This is so fucked up. I've never even spoken to Kai before, full disclosure. If not, why make it? So here's the truth. I don't have necessarily any confidence in my content. A lot of it comes from the motivating factor for me is knowing that there are people that want to see it. And pushing to make things, even if I feel like I can never truly be proud of what I make, because I know that there are people out there who derive value from my content. Even if I struggle with the imposter syndrome of thinking that what I make isn't very good, there are people that like it, and I try to use that as my motivating factor to continue to make it. Even if there are times where all I think to myself is just, this video fucking sucks. And yeah, Kai is spelled K-Y-A-I-I. Imposter? God damn it, I shouldn't have said a fucking thing. And with really good editing, that is kind of, I feel like, Kai's identity, yeah. Personally, I think you're the best Warframe YouTuber. I appreciate that, but I'm hardcore inclined to disagree. Disable his mic? Damn, bro, damn. I'm being taken of my freedom of speech. It's interesting, though, because, like, I've had people like Suckmutt and Kai and Sab tell me that they liked certain videos of mine. They're all way better creators than me. Like, especially... Okay, Warframe creator who doesn't get enough credit, Suckmutt. Like, 1000%. Suckmutt makes crazy good videos. Absolutely recommend him if you've never watched Suckmutt's videos before. Having him compliment something I make blows my mind, because he is such a good content creator with such little recognition that I think his content genuinely blows mine out of the water. Like, no contest. And I'm shocked that he doesn't have more recognition. Compare stuff to the lowest of the low YouTubers instead. That's cheating, though. That's cheating. Where is the like self-satisfaction in being better than the worst? That's such a low bar to set. No one celebrates being in second to last place, right? Because at least you're not last. Like, no one does that. If I was in a race with 20 people and I came in 15th, I'm better than 4 other people, but that doesn't mean I'm good.
Prepare for life support.
Compare yourself to me, I don't even make videos. Like, oh yeah, I make better videos than Bayrock, because he doesn't fucking upload. You're better than Grindhard Squad, you don't steal art. GHS's channel is consistently more successful than mine, so even if I make content that people perceive as better, it's not working out for me as well as it's working out for him, dog. I'm gonna be honest. Things aren't going as well for me as they are for him. Bro can live off of his content. I'm over here struggling. You know, I have thought, I'm sorry, we're just at the part of the stream where I just bring up random musings. I honestly wonder if one day I'd ever try and do this full time. My current content structure does not allow for that. People don't watch my stuff enough based on how hard it is to make. And I want to make something clear. I'm not, like, salty about that. My content is inherently niche. I recognize that. And there's not a lot of demand for it in the Warframe community. It sucks. It's discouraging sometimes. I won't deny any of those things. But it's just reality. I'm well aware of that. But say somehow I could make content as I do, and it was considerably more popular than it is now. Say I was a channel like I don't know, like I can't even think off the top of my head of any like science YouTubers for video games, like a Loxin and Noggin, maybe something like that. Where I could make things that were more analytical or scientific about Warframe, and they would get enough views that I could live off of it. Like, if I was to do that, would I even enjoy it? Like, this will not happen. For one major reason. I would have to make roughly, I think, 3 or 4 times more money. I think it's 4 times more money than I do on average now, just as a baseline, just to survive. I'd have to consistently make 4 times more money than I do now. That won't happen. There's no way that will happen. But if it were to happen, would it be a thing for... Like, my relationship with my content would fundamentally change if it was my job, right? And I wonder, like, would it still be fun if I had to do it because I was going to die otherwise, right? Seems like a fraud. I see where you're coming from there, Blueprint. I still think your videos are great, but I think that a lot of that is, like, it's not about the effort so much as the, like, the passion or the character of them that I think matters to people the most. It doesn't matter if the video is not super high effort, if it's a short shit post, if it's funny and feels, you know, genuine. I'm trying to catch up a little bit. Hold on. Can we raid Kai stream if he's still live when you end? Yeah, sure, actually. Is he live on Twitch or YouTube? That was really weird. YouTube? Okay. How many viewers does Kai have right now? Is he siphoning my viewer base? I have to know. Is Kai siphoning my viewer base? Nova has done this to me before, too. They're all out to get me, bro. Makes me quite angry. Yeah, that's fair. Integrity for a profit is a hard line to walk. Yeah, I agree with you there. Kai, no, not Kai Sanat. Kai the Warframe YouTuber. 20-ish. I don't. Now I'm just gonna have to look it up by myself. I don't trust any of you motherfuckers. I'm about to have to picture it didn't happen my audience for this. Why did I stick to the wall? Sorry. Enjoy you enough to be here with them. Look, I'm just fucking around. I don't care how many viewers Kai's stream has. I'm just memeing. I did this with Nova as well. Whenever he would stream, whenever I was live, I'd shit talk him for stealing my viewer base. I was gonna say I'm gonna get stuck on the fucking door frame.
I didn't say you could play here.
Fuck off,
Now,
bitch.
give me that.
Let me pull up Kai's channel.
Chano, extraction is ready.
87 watching. That's a lot lower than I expected for a channel of this size. How long has he been live for? We should raid Kai's stream. He deserves more viewers than this. Only been live for about 10 minutes. Okay, yeah, it'll probably pick up. It'll probably pick up. I don't know how much longer I'll be alive for, but please, I need this. Bayrout, why does this mean so much to you? It's over, you're nothing? Deadass. You're stealing him. I'm sorry. I need to apologize to Kai. Is another spider. We could have a different kind of spider for sure. Which Warframe YouTuber should be forced to fight to the death? I think Nightmare Frame and GHS should be forced to fight to the death.
Oh, I do.
I'm at gunpoint. From who? Before rating to raise your numbers? I don't think I'm gonna do that, but I appreciate the creativity, the creative approach to problems. Husker will be in the cuck chair. True. Means you're factually better than them. I will say though that like Kai's content, I think, is a lot more what the Warframe community actually wants, right? Like I said, like a lot of the content scape for Warframe is builds and guides and stuff like that, and Kai does those really well. So I think that, like, in comparison to me, his content, like, sort of hits that niche a lot better. The stuff I make, there's not a ton of demand for a lot of the time. Some things there are. Like, a lot of my more opinionated videos got a decent amount of views. But a lot of the Warframe content creation scape is, like, builds and guides. And that's the kind of thing that I think Kai's one of the better YouTubers in that space, for sure. Did you play Claire Obscure? No, I have not played it. It seems like a good game, though. But yeah, I haven't played it personally, no. My biggest struggle with Araxia at this difficulty, like at this level, is not killing everything before I can pounce them for energy. It's some rough shit. I don't know why I just stopped moving there, but whatever. Those guys are so boring. The thing is, like, I personally agree with that, because I don't need that kind of content, but they're undeniably popular for a reason. Because people do want that kind of content. I don't personally watch it, but I'm able to acknowledge that it is popular for a reason. Clap, clap. Okay, thanks for your input. MX35B, what the fuck? Kind of freaks me out. I mean, that's completely fair. It is a little weird. Cool kid. Warframe YouTuber tier list to farm drama, make easy money. I think some Texagon beat me to that, actually. That was where I was put below Sab on the tier list, and I tweaked the fuck out about it on, in obvious and mundane stuff. No, let me... Okay. Okay. Just kidding. Really? I am having horrible luck, dude. Holy shit.
How they gave themselves just to get little me to where I am.
My luck is so ass. What the fuck?
Thank you all.
Of course, he died right before I made it over here. Makes the Toxin proc into a nuke. The explosion of the Toxin proc itself, I feel like without proximity, isn't super strong. But with the Sobek specifically, the combination of explosions is pretty nuts. When something new drops, yeah, like, so there's definitely a market for it. Even though I don't personally need that content, most of the time at least, I can't deny there is a market for it, for sure. And, like, sharing information about Warframe is just a fundamental part of the experience to me. Can I break that? Thank you. I do not give enough of a shit to do this the correct way. We're gonna do this.
Security has locked down.
Don't care.
We have no choice but to destroy them. The reactor is going into stasis.
I need... There we go. I was gonna say, I need to pounce on someone and kill them in one hit. I'm doing everything I can to not over-damage these motherfuckers too much. That's why I'm going for, like, their legs. Never knew you could do that. It's a very weird, like, subtle thing, yeah. Pounce on Nitro. He's currently asleep, so that can't happen. And it can't happen on stream for obvious reasons either. What efficiency do you have? I think 75? I was running her with 45 and it was working fine, but I felt like I was needing to pounce on enemies so often it was just getting annoying. So I threw on Streamline to kind of offset it. Who wins the pounce off? Maruna, Araxia, or Nitro? I don't know if we should hold a poll for that. I don't think we should... I don't know if we should find out. Garuda? Garuda's definitely up there. Are you going to watch the day one TennoCon streams? I think I probably will stream Tenno Concert just for fun, but we'll see. I have to take that day off of work. I haven't put in for it yet because my boss always forgets if I do it too far out. Okay, I was going to say, I heard the noise. It's going to happen eventually. I just don't know when. I just realized, wait a minute. My FOV is way bigger now than it was earlier. Is it just me, or was my FOV really small when I first started playing? I don't know why I just acknowledged this. That's strange. Gara got me on a chokehold? Damn. FOV inflation? Oh, hell no. I think for this stream, I'll try and finish this Lich. Maybe I should reword that. We're going to finish this, you know... never mind, fuck it, I give up. Also, it does go up and... Yeah, look! Am I tweaking? My FOV feels like it's closer now. I'm losing my fucking mind. I'm actually losing my mind. I think I just need to... I need to fucking go see a doctor, bro. You think Arax is website with the Venus Ice Mystery? They do, probably. The Venus Ice Mystery will be solved one day. I'll get to it. Depth of the... Okay, I have to ask. Why do you include the term flap in all of your messages? Is this like... This is one of the more bizarre typing quirks I've witnessed in my time on the internet. Fucking hell. Drink some water, you're hallucinating? Dude, maybe... Yeah, look. Am I not farther away now from the camera? Am I not farther away now from the camera? Why is my FOV bigger? Am I getting a speed boost from something? I'm so confused.
Another job well executed.
You know, the 4 increases my FOV, but it's changing even when I'm still, like, remaining in the 4. Like, even regardless of the 4, there are times where it's bigger when I've never left it. I wonder if it is the mercy kills. It might be the mercy kills, yanking my FOV away from me.
Oh,
that's so fucking weird.
Can you see me? You're
Drink some
much
water?
closer now.
Might be necessary. Okay.
Are you holding back?
This is so fucked. I only know 2 Requiems. They're both not the first one.
As ready as you will ever be.
You have hit and run on your Parazon? No, I don't. Okay, fuck it. Netra, sure. Got Mercy killed at Brighton. Womp womp. Yeah, it goes to Sedna. Really big fucking jump.
For me.
Why no Ool? I don't think do I have one?
I'll miss you, little meat.
Nope, I don't. No Ool? Yeah, reason I don't have one on me. I have been very unlucky. Not this Kuva Lich. Welcome, Lucy. I'm stuck with this one. Trade now. We're doing it legit. Oolless behavior. True.
Our intel suggests
True.
that our person
Okay.
of interest is in the
Doesn't set it back after it
Search
finishes?
for
That might be... Okay, hold on. We're time to do some science, okay? So this is my big FOV when I'm in the mode, right? The pounce does not seem to change it. Is it the mercy kill? Because I have no parkour velocity buffs or speed buffs or anything up here. Is it whenever I do a mercy kill? Because it zooms my camera in. I think that might be it. I think each time I do a mercy kill, it tightens my FOV slightly. That might be correct. I think you're nuts. I probably am. Did you see Sab's clan tweet? I don't think so. I'm not on Twitter, so... Well, not often. I check it like once a week at most. I know I play with a closer FOV than most, but like, damn. No, I need a mercy kill. In Echoes of Isleweaver, I clap. True. Nuts.com. True. But I guess, Huss, you'll have to tell me what the tweet was, because I don't know what you're referring to. Perhaps it stacks over time. That's what I'm wondering, is if it stacks over time. I'm gonna try and... Oh, yeah, look! I'm definitely closer now. My FOV definitely got smaller. Hold on. I will prove that I am right about this. I have to keep getting mercy kills. I will prove that I'm right about this. FOV deflation. I will know the truth. It's like the fucking X-Files. Will it get smaller after a subsequent one? Well, it didn't play the animation, so not that time, I guess. Still hit him. Okay, I used Wi-Fi for that pounce. Big again? What the fuck is going on? Venus Ice Mystery? That bug is still in the game. Damn. Yeah, it seems like... I think that using things that change my FOV like the pounce fix it, but I think that doing Mercy finishers does slightly reduce my field of view. That's so fucked up. That's so weird. Oh, I could try it in the simulator room, that's true. Hello, bro. I'm going to touch you, bro. Oh, he's on the other side of the wall. Shit, never mind. My Scuttler's gonna fuck up my stealth, but it's okay. I don't give a shit. I don't know how I wall latch for the invis there, but yeah, there it is. I'm excited. I quite like Araxia overall. I think she's a lot of fun.
Here are the holding cells. Search each
I did not mean to do that.
I'm in here.
He pinned the warden to the wall. I mean, I killed that guy, so I'm gonna bed. Stay safe from the Dante mains. Thanks for stopping by, Blueprint. It's always nice having you on. I should do another stream with, like, Blueprint as well. I think the last time Blueprint was actually on one of my broadcasts was the new PC stream. Dude, fuck, that was like 3 or 4 years ago. So the Araxia grind's not too bad. It's pretty easy. I've gotten 3 of her pieces just naturally, and the currency asked for them isn't that high. Ow. John Warframe, indeed. I want to knock out this Lich, and then we can send some people Kai's way, and we can mess with him a little bit. Ow. Son of a bitch. Hold on. Can I was gonna say, can I please latch the wall? I'd probably be getting out of here instead of just, like, carrying this random dude. It's like me with my child when I'm walking through Walmart. My child keeps taking damage. Oh, that's an alarm. Or a lockdown, rather. Alright, well, my child is about to become incapacitated. I gotta get moving.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
Cool. We'll all become channel members in the Kai Raid Trust. When are you gonna stream FNAF? I streamed 5 nights at Floppa's and Halloween before last. That stole content from English-speaking YouTubers? I saw Sab's video about it, yeah. Didn't seem like he touched my content, but... yeah, when Phasmo? True. I feel like I could probably have fun with Phasmo if I did it in VR. VR Phasmophobia is pretty fucking scary, actually. How close am I? I've got like a 6th, a 5th left. That's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Any word if they're gonna fix the clan trophy requirements? I haven't heard anything, no. 130 hours for one person? Jesus.
There is a large platoon of Grenier
Oops, Wellspring Reflex. I did it again. I just need power drain. That's what I'm after. There we go. Xena cucked once again. It's true. It's true. I'm too much of a Xeneric cuck. How did that hit the... You know what? Whatever. Whatever. I needed to pounce on that guy, but what the fuck ever. I give up. There we go. That's energy. Now you're playing with power. Yet to do it in VR. I've only done it once, and I'm not gonna lie, that was the scariest shit I've experienced in a VR game. Even over, like, FNAF Help Wanted. I think that, like, I don't understand Phasmophobia super well, so I also have that element of, like, fear of the unknown. But, dude, that shit was scary as fuck. Put up low-quality images of Hideo Kojima thinking. I guess I probably could. But that would make you happy, Bayrot, and I'm in the business of not doing that. Do you enjoy Primary Crux? On a lot of weapons, I think it's pretty good, yeah. Die, 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 die! Go, my scuttlers. Go, my scuttlers. Get them. At the Valkyrie rework. I mean, it happens, unfortunately. The Warframe community is going to care a lot less about content theft than a rework to a Warframe they didn't play in the first place. That's just how people are. Keeps me up at night. Dude, it is legitimately terrifying. No shot, that shit is scary as fuck. Normal Phasmo doesn't scare me at all. VR Phasmo is fucking scary. For burst and charge weapons? I could see that, but I think the purpose of the Cannonade mods was to preserve the experience after the semi-auto trigger change. So, I don't know. Thank God they fixed that, by the way. That setting should be working again. VR Warframe when? Okay, real talk, a VR Warframe experience could be fire. That would be fun as hell. If only Enderbrine would update his Blade and Sorcery mod. There's a guy named Enderbrine who did a Blade and Sorcery mod that adds a bunch of Warframe weapons. Actually, incredibly good mod, but it hasn't been updated in like a year and a half. Almost 2 years now, I think. I hope he comes back and updates it to 1.0 one day. It's such a good mod. I really wish Demonologist had a VR because it's much scarier than Phasmo. I've heard good things about Demonologist, but never played it. VR Railjack would be nuts fun. That could be a lot of fun, like a multi-crew Warframe VR experience. On a semi-field trigger. I think that's up to it. I think it's subject to interpretation. I guess I don't really have any strong feeling on it. Yep, see, my FOV definitely got smaller there. 100%, I'm not losing my mind. I will not be gaslit. I know the truth. My FOV has absolutely gotten smaller, and then if I pounce, yeah, it goes back to normal. I'm not insane. I'm not insane. Sparkles will blind VR users. Oh, you bitch! Should I should I do this? It'll reset her enragement level. Or her enrage level.
Well done. We'll get to extraction.
I don't know if I... You know what? Fuck it, we ball. That was not worth it at all. That was a complete fucking waste.
In me. Now, my great red work truly begins.
Thank you. You fucker, I didn't kill him in time. To the Kuva Fortress? Yeah, pretty much. Now watch her take a fucking eternity to actually show up. Got me fucked up for real.
Mission complete. Excellent work, Tenno.
Especially with the mirrors. Yeah, fair enough. Common bug, maybe? Perhaps. Got me emailing D support for fuck's sake. Oh, okay. I got sent the tweet about that Sabuchi posted where he changed his message of the day to "You have been banned for suspicious trading activity." That's fucked up, but also hilarious. It's Foss? Okay. Do I even have one? I don't do liches very often. I don't have a Foss. Well, fuck my life. I didn't want this to take this long. I could just, like, buy one off of someone, but at the same time, I said I was going to do a legitimate experience because I have no Ool. So, bossless behavior. Trade. Beira, I don't trust you. You're going to ask for more fish. You're going to want more fish. I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I used a lot of my Void Traces recently. How do you have no Ool? I don't do this content very much. And Ool's purely luck-based. What, are you criticizing me for not grinding for a mod that's completely random and tied to the content I need it for? I gotta suffer. What is it? I did it again! God damn it, dude. God damn it, bro. I can't stop. I can't control myself. This is not Steel Path. Oops. It was supposed to be, but I fucked up. My bad. I have 5 from my first 10. I think the drop chance of an Ull is 1 in 4, if memory serves. Bothless behavior, indeed.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching. There's no telling what the captors are doing to
The Splendid, the one... You know what, here, I'll do this one run. If I get good luck, if I hit the 25%, I think it's 25%, chance of getting the Foss on this run, we're good. Otherwise, I'll trade for it. That's the deal I'll make with you all. This is probably boring enough. I've already, like, bled, like, almost 100 viewers over the last hour since I stopped reading the hot takes. So, this is... We're falling off. We're falling off too much. Thank you for the 20 crowns. Are you well sprung? God damn it, bro. God damn it. Trading with Bayrot. If I trade with Bayrot, he'll add more to the Sion debt. I already owe Bayrot like 40 Sions or something. It's really bad. I'm very deep in Sion debt. I need to do a stream of just me fishing to make up the Sion debt. I swear on Garuda, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You owe me a... Okay, it's not 120, Bayrot. That's some crazy interest, you fucking loan shark. It is not 120. That is not what we agreed upon. I'm thinking 60? 60 at most. It was 60 at most. Sing me a lullaby or scream in my ear. You don't want to hear me sing, Wisp. I'm just going to tell you that point blank. When did it get doubled? When the fuck did that happen, you rat bastard? What do you mean the Sion debt got doubled? That's some fucking bullshit. That's some bullshit. I don't believe that. Oh, whoops. Oh, wait, it's... I was gonna say, like, wait a minute, I should just go where the things are.
We've reached the prison. Find our prisoner in one of these cells.
Garuda wins again. Unreal. Alright, I'm dipping. Double it and pass it on to the next... Oh, there's no next person to pass it on to.
Let's go home.
I mean, you're... No, dude, what you need to be doing is fucking hauling ass, bro. This tile's such a clusterfuck to navigate sometimes. You're not getting shit. Do I look like a charity case? Alright, Foss or trade? We got the other one? Bro, okay. That's fucked up. Plenty of cooldown to pass on. That's true. 2 times last stream. That's so bullshit. That is so bullshit. Reese Nabro got fleeced. What the fuck? Come to me, little bro. I don't like the way you're saying that. I don't like the way you're saying that, Bayrod. You know what? Fine. Fine. If you give me a Foss, then we can call it good. We can call it good. I know I'm making a mistake. I know I'm making a mistake by doing this. Toxic yaoi? This isn't yaoi. This is an adversarial. This is a combative relationship. This is so fucked up. This is so fucked up. I have to wait for Bayrot's slow-ass Turkish internet. Fucking... Sorry, everyone. The carrier pigeon with his packets hasn't arrived yet. We're working on it. We're working on it. He draws the line at shipping. Look, I very publicly have Nitro. I don't need any of this extraneous bullshit. My life is a swirling torrent of misery. Welcome, Wally. What it's like under corpus occupation. Bro, could you hurry that shit up? Are you using dial-up over there? Your high-speed 24 kilobit per second line? Fucking 1993 head-ass internet? Fucking hurry that shit up. Thank you. Spider feet. God damn it, Darth. What do you want? What do you want for this? I think I might have 1 Sion. I have 3. Okay. Here, 2 Sions for the Sion debt. 2 Sions for the Sion debt. 2 Sions. Thank you for the 2 National Security Agency. Warner Brothers has a trademark on your relationship with Bayrot. The Ool, I'm asking for a Foss Bayrot. This is too generous. This is too generous. Cool polycule when? Never. Where's the Foss? This is too generous. I need the Foss. People will keep telling me to use Ool if I have an Ool. I don't have Foss. You motherfucker! You lied to me! You lied to me! God damn it. God damn it. You know what? False advertising. I'll accept the trade, but false advertising. False advertising. Unreal. Unfucking real. Where's the lamb Foss? Yeah, deadass. Where's the Foss? Fuck you, Bayrod. This is... You've ruined everything. 60 off the Sion debt for that one. Okay, you motherfucker. You doubled it for no reason, and now you're having it. You rat. You fucking rat. You fucking rat. You're just making shit up. My debt isn't even real. You're just making it up. I know the truth.
Right?
I know the truth. You're making it up. Or you wouldn't accept the Ool? I'm maulding. He halved your debt, be thankful. You know, I could just not pay my debt. What the fuck is Bayrot gonna do to me? I don't think there's anything he could do to realistically stop me. It's 600 debt. Get with the times. It's called business, my man. This is so fucked up. This is so fucked up. I'm being mistreated. I'm being mistreated. That's the truth of it. I'm being mistreated. Limb repossession. I really hope this doesn't take too long. I'm getting a little tired of this stream. Like, not in terms, like, I have fun streaming. That's why I do it, is because I think streaming is a lot of fun. But it's a lot on my voice to talk for so long. And this lich has been taking a while. If I fuck up the next guess, I'm just not gonna finish it on stream, just straight up. I honestly might just call it after this mission, just wind things down. Like, I've been going on for long enough that my throat's starting to hurt quite a bit. With all of the hot take reading especially. I was gonna do some more of the members-only dev commentaries today, but I think I might have spent what vocal capacity I have on this broadcast. Contra-Cord conversion rate. I'm not sure what the Contra-Cord to Sion conversion rate is. Cool Contra-Cord 369 would have to answer that for you. He would know. And thank you. Deliberately shooting these guys in the foot with like a small fraction of my pellet count. I am balling out. I did not mean to do that, actually. My bad. We're not balling out. What is with the enemy spawns in this room? Hello? Okay, I don't know what I was thinking there. I feel like my mini-map is just fucking with me at this point. This is high-level Warframe gameplay, if you can't tell. I'm just walking through this mission and clicking on things. Okay, that's a wall latch? Are we deadass? That's a wall latch. Are we sure? Did you read my hot take? I think so, yeah, if memory serves. You are now the man in the wall. Truly. Drink more water. I have been drinking, but when I put it like that, it sounds like I've been like drinking alcohol. But it's still a lot on my voice to talk continuously for so long. Hope the person had the fewest likes. Grim. New spy missions. Yeah, that's one I do agree with. I wish we had more. Alcoholic kid. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you all. You can think of me less as a person for this. That's perfectly reasonable. I don't like alcohol that much. It gives me a headache, and it tastes bad, and it's really expensive. I don't understand the appeal personally, so I don't drink it. If you like it, that's entirely your prerogative. I'm not a fan. You know, me saying that reminds me of something. I remember reading an interesting thing about AI using certain words more than humans. Like delve is a word they use weirdly often. And I was thinking to myself, like, dude, what if, just for fun, I wrote a video with a suspiciously large number of AI words in it, just to see if anyone realized? Like, I'd still make it, but what if I, like, went out of my way to put those words in it just to fuck with people? I think it would be kind of funny. Use whether in a scripted 90% an AI vid. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, is that apparently, like, that's a big method for AI detection, is that there are certain words that it got from biased training data that it uses way more often than it should. Someone knows to be a turbo nerd. Well, that's true. I still think it's possible. How is Araxi with a 10x Waxian? I haven't played Araxi with that specific weapon. But I know it's AI, like, right away. I feel like I can kind of intuitively feel it as well whenever something is AI. AI generated, it's so obvious. Yeah, it's fucked up. As part of its data. You know what, Darth? I am going to train an AI only on you talking about feet. And we're going to make Darth Muffin Bot, where all it talks about is feet. Oh, Lucy said I have a FOSS you can have. I appreciate it, Lucy, but I should be fine now. I think we're gonna wind down. Darth AI, yeah, it's just fucking evil Darth be like, I don't like Mag's feet.
So much fun with you.
Stop talking!
What's on your... And we're out.
Sorry. What? Don't worry about it. Instead of just use one every 3 sentences. I could do that. I think we'll do like 15 more minutes. Stop trying to disturb my business, please. Fuck you, Bayrot, you scammed me. What's up, dickhead? Thrax is kinda tall for a kid. Anyhow. The famous 15 more minutes. I mean, true, yes, but we'll try and stick to it. We'll try and stick to it. I feel like, and I will say as well, right? Kai is live. I'm probably going to link his stream when we're done here. But, like, if you're leaving the stream but still want to watch someone streaming Warframe, go watch him. He's a cool enough creator. I don't know him on a personal level, but same height as the Operator, probably. I haven't played the Operator in ages. I don't want to play as the child.
On my throne and mocks me. We have to stop her drift.
Wacky. You little bitch. Damn. I don't know if Lucy's talking to me or to Bayrot. I'm just gonna assume me. No, Ileweaver, probably not on stream. You need to craft a gay baby jail around Thrax or he will escape? I could. Do I have any, like, bars or anything I could build around him? I could do the Duviri modesty screen. This is thematically fitting, right?
The sentients are not laughing at my jokes. Did they?
What do I have that would make, like, a good... I'm talking to you, cool kid? Yeah, I thought as much. What do I have that would work for this? As, like, bars to lock up Thrax. Gupala trophy. Maybe. Maybe. This is difficult. Fish Jenga? I do have to finish Fish Jenga still, unfortunately. I have so many decorations I've just never bothered using. Oh wait, I think I got a second one. I think that they accidentally gave us another one when they Released conjunction survival. And all the Zeraman stuff. Zeraman wall panel? No, that's not like bar-like enough, I don't think. I have an awful idea that we're not doing. I take it back. What about... Wait, oh, hold on, hold up. His feet are too far apart. Dude, that would have been so fire. Fuck, okay, hold on. Can I buy another Deviri Modesty screen? Those come from a Krithis, right?
Look at us, chatting like old friends.
Damn it! I can't afford another one. Shit.
Oh, there'll be other times.
Okay. What if? New idea. Can we put him inside the hay bale? We can. Alright, Thrax. This is your new home. How's that? In order to restrain Thrax so he can't get up to any mischief, I'm placing him in the block of hay. This thing is, not working as well as I'd hoped. Let me shut off surface snapping. Okay, yeah, there we go. We'll save or secure him in the block of hay. That way he can't escape. I think that should work. Anyways.
How Bombastine will envy me for this bold expedition.
Alright, so now we're going to execute Thrax with the sniper rifle. Unseta still works. I believe it does. The, like, stealth XP multiplier, like Arcwing strat. We know he actually suffocated. True. I don't know if I have much more to, like, put on top of him. Do I have, like, a crate? Hold on. Hold on, like, cargo? Nah, damn. Entrati stool. Advanced tactics. This is advanced methods. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life right now. I really don't. Put it in a pot? Good idea. Hold on. Oh my god, it's so large. Hold up. Fuck the hay bale. The pot might actually be the vision. I think the pot is the vision. What other ones do I have? Wide pot? Tall pot? Oh, that might actually completely cover him. Hold on. Oh, shit. Hold on. Can I upscale it? It's just the top of his head is poking out now. Do I have any, like, flowers? There's the flower decanter. Ooh, that's actually a really pretty decoration. I'm surprised I haven't ever used this for anything. Because there's the Zeraman flowers, but I don't think I have them on me. And I don't know if they'd fit this, like, design. Here, we'll just... Here, there we go. We'll put the shoes on here. The globe light? Perhaps? It's Tombstone Bee shoes. Do like a Nexifera floof. You know, this actually doesn't make a half bad flower. What if I... Hold on. What if it's something like this? How's that for a little weird flower pot, right? Has a few Nexifera floofs in there. They can leave the... What about Athila or Sithil? As I understand it, the Zeraman occupies a special place, being on, like, the footstep, or, like, the doorstep of the Void. And so there are certain things that are not normally possible that are here. That's also part of why, like, the Drifter and the Operator canonically cannot be in the same place at the same time, but on the Zeraman and in the labs, because of their connection to the Void, it is possible. From what I remember reading from a developer Q&A on the Reddit. Alright, so Thrax has been locked away.
Beyond petty grudges.
Thrax? Does he know? Does he know? I don't think he knows. Going to get story next. Operator got a new story with Jade Shadows about a year ago now, so I guess we'll have to see. I imagine they'll hopefully bring him back into the timeline soon. What is this doing here? The cuck stool? Does Thrax just add this? I can't move it. What? Does Thrax just bring the cuck stool with him? What? I haven't noticed this up until now. Why is it shitted? I don't know. Thrax got the stool in the divorce. Well, now Thrax has been fucking buried. Fuck you, Dominus Thrax.
I suspect you know what meddling beyond the wall has brought her here.
I need to finish buying up these arcanes just to help my like friends and stuff that don't have them. I know I'm probably gonna have a few people that aren't gonna play during this event, and this is the easiest they've ever been to get. I want to make sure I buy them up so that if I have any friends that need help, I can give them to them. The market value is gonna crash.
Story. It's written, finished, done.
178 of 259 spent. I wonder if you were a solo clan, because you have to spend them, I believe, to make progress. If you bought up all the arcanes and didn't spend enough, like, how would you do it? Just, like, buy up, like, Basmu blueprints?
Symbol of my dominion. I need
Oh,
them
Pathos
back.
clamps, that'd be how.
Every last one.
Thrax is an analog to Napoleon. He's also a cuck. Buy 1,000 wisps? That's true, I could buy 1,000 wisps.
Time is wasted.
Ominous Kid 369? Are we deadass? Are we deadass? There's a new one in my chat, live and in... This bit started like 10 minutes ago. Why is he here? What the fuck? Are we deadass? You know, YouTube has these like heart reacts that you can do, right? Or you can do like the party streamer or like the 100. Can we add the wilted rose emoji to this? Can we do wilted? Can we spam wilted roses, please? Because it was always here. Damn it. That's true. The Wisp has a purchase limit? Damn. Or everything but the Wisp has a purchase limit. Damn. Our Keter class SCP. They keep evolving. They're multiplying even. Alright, I will say, if anyone has any questions or anything to... Okay, any questions or anything to ask, feel free to ask them now. My dog is tweaking the fuck out, so I'm gonna go for maybe 5 more minutes, and then we're gonna call it. I don't want to go for too much longer, because I need to see what she wants, but I have a question. Bayrot, this is gonna be a D's Nuts joke, I already see it coming. Coolhound369. How are you? You know, I'm doing okay. 48 Sions. You just changed the number again! Is this... Where's the ledger? I want to see the ledger with all of the debts recorded. I want to see your documentation. The beekeeping incident? You did unironically get me there, Link. I'm not even gonna lie. Why am I wilting all of a sudden? Oh no, we're wilting the wrong rose. Take it... Stop, take it back. It's like whenever you say that fairies aren't real, a fairy dies. Whenever you post the wilted rose emoji, Rose wilts in real life. I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'll be online. It's not a huge deal. I should be fine. I respected your will. Get with the times. Damn. Do not listen to him. So no build? I mean, I feel like I am kind of the opinion that showing builds encourages laziness. I guess I could explain what I have going on my Araxia.
Ready for
This is still kind of work in progress, but now I originally had purple shards, but I dropped them for more toxin damage shards. So that's why I have equilibrium on the frame itself now, but mostly strength involving the 4, Archon continuity for the corrosive status effect. Flow isn't really necessary, I just have it as like a comfort thing. Same with Streamline. Overextended almost gives you the cap for the explosion radius. It caps at 10 meters. Summoner's Wrath and Arcane Kamisado for the spiders, and Arachne, because it's basically Eclipse, like budget Eclipse. that I get from wall latching, which I'm doing constantly all the time, even when I don't want to. That's the fundamental theory. Thank you to the Stug and Gemini for becoming members. I very much appreciate it. I was planning on making more members-only content today, but I kind of fucked it up. So, my apologies. I'll have to get on that. I'll have to get on that. A big fan of wall latch mods. They are honestly neat, primarily with Araxia. It's a cool little synergy. Face reveal when? That already accidentally happened many years ago. Proton Snap build? That would go hard. I want a refund? Damn, I'm sorry. I'll get that to you. You know, should we gamble? Should we do a gambling real quick? Maybe we should do a gambling. One singular gambling. I've been doing this basically every stream, and I really shouldn't, because this is a waste of money. But I think we should do a gambling. Well, let's give away a membership. Oh, LEU has given away a membership to Local Hornman. Wait, didn't that... I thought that person received a membership the other day. What the fuck? Anyways, congrats on receiving your membership. We're gonna do one more gambling. There's only like 3 members-only videos right now, but... one more gambling. Waste of money, but it's okay because it's funny. And the winner is... Congrats to the NSA! I feel like you guys probably already had access to my videos for security reasons, but congrats to the NSA for winning my membership gift. What the fuck? Well, okay, that's a little weird. Anyways, I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream here. Let me pull up Kai's stream. Real quick. I think that people should, we have access. Thank you for the 2. So, here's what we're gonna do. First of all, be nice. I don't condone anyone being mean to Kai when I do this. Anyone who wants to, you know, keep watching a Warframe stream, if you guys could, head over to Kai's stream and just say Cool Kid Says Hi, I would appreciate it. Just Cool Kid Says Hi. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just... That was my email, sorry. I'm just gonna type hi in Kai's chat for the funny. But yeah, you all go have fun with Kai's stream. I'd have appreciated if you guys, pop over and said hi, to Kai, you know, show him some support. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream here. So, Discord's in the description, VOD playlist is in the description, and I will see you all next time.